back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
It's so interesting.
It looked at times. It looked like someone who really wasn't a player,
basketball,
right? But who had been taught a couple of moves, right? Like a guitar player who learned 3 or 4 cool licks, but didn't really know how to play.
Yeah, when the bass player tries to play a guitar solo, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
On the bass.
Yeah, and listen, and I'll say this:
finger tapping
on the drums.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It sports show. It is Wednesday, December the 8th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you, and with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, gentlemen.
Howdy.
How the hell are you this evening, this fine December evening?
Great.
I'm excited to see how both the Knicks and the Nets do in back-to-back.
This is interesting. You're absolutely right. I think you don't know why you wouldn't be right on that one. That would be interesting.
What else?
We all know R.J. Barrett's not going to have 2 games back-to-back.
Why not?
Neither is Kevin Durant.
Maybe he comes off the bench one game.
Yeah, I'll trade you R.J. Barrett and half of Madison Square Garden for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's quite possibly the most consistent player in all of basketball.
Quite possibly?
Well, I mean, you could argue maybe Giannis, but I say Durant is, takes 12 shots a game, averages 28 points. What else do you want?
Exactly.
Well, it'll be interesting to see
consistency. Yeah.
Do they crank it up? And what was the headline I saw on NBA.com? The East leading Nets taking on the slow surging Rockets.
Slow surging.
I don't know exactly
Rockets.
what that means.
Well, the Rockets are kind of hot. They won,
Slow
3 in
surging.
a row?
Yeah.
Slow surging Rockets.
7 wins now. They practically doubled their win total recently.
I know.
So.
But,
this could end up being like, a 2 or 3 or 4 point game.
You think that's a headline down in Houston? Rockets taking off?
Rockets slow surging.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, it's not looking too good for the Knicks right now.
Not so much, no. Yeah. Not really. I don't know. Well, we'll talk about
anyway,
NBA.
What are we doing talking sports the first?
Yeah, really. It's the beginning of it. It's within the first 10 minutes. Of saying anything sports
instead of.
Let's talk about what Mets have not been signed yet.
Well, I actually wanted to tell you, I was actually on Facebook Marketplace before, and there was an ad for it said radio for sale, $1, volume stuck on full blast, and I said to myself, now how can you can't turn that down?
Yeah, really.
What kind of radio is it?
Never mind. No. Is this thing on?
Yes.
You can't turn that down.
I got it.
All right.
I got it.
So
I was more interested in actually what kind of radio
it was. It was actually an Emerson.
Oh, an Emerson. Wow.
It was an Emerson, yeah.
You can only buy those. It's like JCPenney, right?
They have them at JCPenney. Yeah, they do, actually.
Yeah, that would not sound good at full volume.
Not so much.
It'd be clipping a little bit.
I think you can't put it above 6. So.
I don't know.
That one doesn't. That one does not go to 11.
As long as it doesn't have Emerson speakers, you could probably crank it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, once you get over like 6.5, then it becomes modern music.
Right, exactly.
So distorted that is this the new Sonic Youth?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, we're equating modern music with Sonic Youth.
Well,
it's not released an album in 15 years.
15 years. No.
Well, you're telling me they weren't ahead of their time?
Well, they were a little.
Well,
bit.
they were. I would argue modern music today there's very little of it that has even
any distortion
has an instrument involved.
Has any instruments? Yes.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Drum machine and
Taylor
voices.
Swift's wine stick
and just a droning. Or they're going back to. I've heard a few going back to using the that old Roland TR-808 drum. The basically that low note kind of thing.
Yeah.
Reverting back. What's old is new. Anyway.
Yeah, there were
a lot of good music out there. You just got to turn off your TV and your radio to
go out to Herman's Hideaway last Saturday and find it.
Maybe not that. But
not being played on the public airways. I think Sweetwater's, post Thanksgiving sale, they had a lot of drum machines.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of Guitar Center too.
Low prices. Yeah, it was tempting.
I will tell you, Harry. I did play a little bit of log for somebody the other day, and the first thing that they thought of was Primus.
Well, okay.
So, wow, this is Primus. Are they influenced by Primus? That was the first words out of their mouth.
Wow.
So, just wanted to tell you. I figured I'd tell you. I figured I'd share it.
Mm.
No.
Okay.
Not happy?
There you go. Your name is Mud.
Not what you want?
It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right. Just figured I'd tell you. So anyway. All right. Well, we've come to a grinding halt. So why don't we talk about sports?
All right. Fine.
All right. Fine. All right. So couple things really quick on baseball, a little hot stove before we go into the main reason we're here in December, right? Which is hockey. Kidding. The lockout obviously is going on. I don't know if you pulled up a couple things last week, Pete, and you
we were talking.
Right, we were talking about whatever. But I
revenue sharing and blah blah blah. And
right.
As usual, I didn't have it quite right.
I have the exact lists here.
Didn't stop you.
This is
no.
But some of it was right. So you were right on some of it. Yeah. Here you go.
Well, there's usually a detail.
Right.
I said the players didn't wanted less revenue sharing, and what they actually wanted was they wanted the revenue sharing spent on salaries, on player salaries.
Right.
They didn't want to just get rid of it.
They
wanted teams to give it back.
What they want is they want increase in minimum salaries. Is what they want. So
right.
So I'll read it.
What is the minimum salary of a baseball player?
$13,000.
Yeah, that's
I don't.
An hour.
It's 100 and something, right?
Yeah. No, it's like 300 something, I think.
Well,
there's a veteran minimum and then there's a non-veteran minimum. I think it's 100 something for that, and then I think the veteran minimum is like in the threes. I'm not quite sure.
I'll catch for the Yankees for the minimum.
We'll have to check that out. But so anyway, MLB reported proposals are as follows. This is what baseball wants, and Major League Baseball wants: elimination of direct draft pick compensation. All right.
Which means what?
For teams signing and losing free agents. So they want, in other words, like if they sign a free agent or lose a free agent, whether there was a draft pick compensation, they want to eliminate that. No more of that. What they're trying to do, what Major League Baseball is trying to do, is they're trying to avoid teams tanking. They want teams to be more competitive.
Okay.
Right.
So rather than necessarily just letting all their free agents go
and getting draft picks and then building right.
So no compensation for anything. Like
they want to eliminate all direct draft pick compensation for any free agent signings, whether losing.
I'm fine with that.
Draft lottery as used in other leagues. No more. You're the worst record. You get the first pick. Draft lottery, just like the NBA and all of that stuff. They want to do. Again, eliminating tanking. They want to eliminate tanking. So, which sucks because the winner of the World Series all of a sudden the lottery gets the. I guess they're eliminated from the lottery and they.
Well, are they going to do like the? Yeah, are they going to kind of go by the NBA model where
I would imagine it's the NBA
worst
model,
teams had a better chance.
Sure. You got your pool of worst teams, and that's the lottery, and then everybody else goes from there, or something along those lines. It's got to be something along those lines. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess
they want the universal designated hitter.
Well, everybody wants that.
They're going to get anyway, but they want to increase the minimum salary. All right, the minimum salary. Not
that's what the owners want.
But they want to increase the minimum salary. They're not saying they want to like a spending minimum. That's what the Players Association wants. I'll get to it. Increase the collective the CBT threshold. Not sure what CBT is. Do you know what CBT is?
Collective bargaining
threshold.
2D.
All right.
Thought it was cannabis.
From $4 million increase to $214 million. So, okay, I'm not sure what that is. In line with the $6 million increase in the last. Oh, you know, it is a misprint. It's not CBT. It's CBA.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
I pulled it off on. It's not my misprint. It's the
CBT
MLB's
is like
misprint.
the extract, right?
Right, exactly.
We want CBT for everybody. Sick of all these players walking around straight. We want everybody high.
Everybody has to be here. So CBA increased the collective bargaining agreement threshold $4 million, increased to $214 million, in line with the $6 million increase from the last CBA. Anyway, players want this. They want to change the 6-year reserve period for free agency to 5 years.
Right, 5 years.
Right. They want to expand arbitration eligibility of players from 3 years to 2+ years of service.
Is that the Super 2?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're almost 3 or more than 2.5, you don't actually have to.
You don't
can
have
get
to
arbitration
at
the end of that season.
At the end of that season, exactly.
And for a whole nother year, and when you're actually 3.5.
Right. They don't want to expand it to. They want to expand it. Not expand it out. They want to expand it for the players, so it goes down to their service time or whatever. And then they want to reduce revenue sharing provided to smaller market clubs. But that's kind of misleading. What they want is not a minimum salary, but a minimum spending, a minimum minimum payroll.
They want a floor. Payroll. They want a salary floor.
Salary floor, yeah. So,
and they want the revenue sharing money spent on salaries,
right?
Not good to go into the owner's pockets, or if I read correctly, which I probably didn't, I would go into like a general fund or something like that.
Right.
So the owners should take the 50, 60, 70, $80 million, whatever it is. They have to spend it on players' salaries or give it back, basically.
Exactly.
Players want.
Exactly. And that's for example, the Orioles have their total payroll for opening day is $37 million.
Yeah.
Max Scherzer's making more than that.
Yeah.
So that's what they want to change that. So
did they set a number for the floor?
They haven't. I guess it's part of the negotiation. At least I didn't see it in what I came up with. So, largest free agent contracts this year. Corey Seager obviously got a $325 million contract. It's 10 years though, obviously. Then you got Marcus Semien, Javier Baez. Then Scherzer, Starling Marte's on the list. So there's 2 Mets on the list, two Rangers on the list, 2 Mets on the list, 2 Tigers on the list. A Blue Jays player, a Mariners, and a Chicago Cubs player on the list. What's notably missing is the Yankees, because the Yankees actually did have one free agent signing prior to the lockout, and that was Joely Rodriguez, left-handed pitcher. They signed him to a 1-year, $2 million deal. So.
Well, if you stretch that out to a 100-year deal,
then they spent $200 million.
That'd be $200 million, which would put them in the middle of the pack.
Put them in the middle of the pack, right? Exactly.
But it's it's quite a bargain, really. Right. I mean, you get the guy for the next 100 years.
This is true. Now, will he be able to pitch for, let's say, the last 5 years of that?
He's probably got an opt-out after like
80 years,
44, and
gotcha.
And of course a club option for 101st year.
This is true.
That's always part of the package. So.
Harry, your opinion? Do you think Cashman and Steinbrenner have a plan, or you think they're just lost in the water?
I'd like to think they do. I also what I'm afraid of is that they lost out on Scherzer.
Right.
And they may have had some other trades or things were in the works. Didn't seem like it was in the works prior to this lockout.
Right.
And so but everything that the Yankees have done tells me that they're going to nibble around the edges and convince themselves again that they have the talent there in order to win. And they don't.
No.
So we shall see. I think that pretty much, with the exception of maybe a couple shortstops, the best pitchers are all signed, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So unless the Yankees can go out and make a trade, which I think part of me hopefully thinks maybe that's why they re-signed Gary Sanchez. Maybe they wanted to, maybe include him in a trade package. I don't know. But if they hold on to what they're going to do and continue to play people out of position like they do, and not go after the best players available, then I think we're going to have another season where the Yankees, on paper, look like they had a good year, but they just can't win in the postseason.
Gotcha.
And if the Yankees are putting themselves in a position in a division where, let's face it, there's a lot of stiff competition where they have to fight to get into a wild card game, then it's unfortunate.
Right. I got you. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I was actually reading the Yankees. I guess they have a couple of pretty good shortstop prospects, although not sure any of them are
ready.
Well, listen, this kid, what's his first name? Anthony Volpe. They're not ready yet. Class A Tampa and High A Hudson Valley.
Right.
And put up some good numbers. And then there's another guy, Oswald Peraza, but I think he's
we all know about
2023 guys. So maybe they're not going to look to sign a big shortstop if they think one of these two is going to pan out. But again, they're going to have somebody to play shortstop next season.
Well, they're one ready shortstop that sparked some interest and at least was a big reason for their winning spree. And in the middle of the season, they got rid of.
Right.
Yeah. So they got rid of a homegrown Bronx boy who I thought had a lot of upside and potential, and certainly was a good defensive shortstop and injected a lot of speed. Granted, he struggled at times, but yeah, I don't know what the Yankees are going to do, and it's we've got two first basemen. Neither of them are probably pretty happy. One of them they need to re-sign. They've got an outfielder who they are on the hook for another year, which I think was not necessarily the big splash that they thought it was going to be in Gallo. But at the end of the day, even if the Yankees stuck with the lineup that they have right now, they don't have the arms.
Yeah.
And the potential of a comeback for Corey Kluber, that's no longer there because he's gone. So you have one pitcher, and a pitcher that I think has to prove himself this year.
Well, maybe he can pitch every day.
Well, he had his
or every other day.
He had his most shaky season. He had his most shaky season in the last 7 years.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was doing good until something was taken away from him.
Right. So. And then he did good after that, but he
caught up. He caught back up to it. He kind of crapped out in the beginning, and then he figured it out. But
and then he crapped out at the end.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of pitchers, flipping over to the Mets really quick, and in a minute I'm going to have to open a beer because I'm going to get pissed off at something else I'm going to read really quick before we move on to football.
Listen, I'm going to give you some good news before we leave baseball.
All right,
that's going to make you happy. It's not necessarily good news. It's a feel good story. So you might want to open a beer anyway. But go ahead.
I'll open it anyway.
Let's talk Mets pitching.
All right, Ryan. I just want to bring it up. I don't know if you saw it, but Ron Darling said the other day in an interview. He said he equates Max Scherzer going to the Mets to Tom Brady going to the Bucs. So, what do you think? What do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
I don't think the caliber of the Mets as a team
the caliber of the Bucs
matches the caliber of the Bucs.
So I had it here. Max to Mets equals Brady to Bucs.
Well, I mean, it's a big splash. It's a big deal. Scherzer bounced around. I would say that's more of a direct comparison when he went to L.A., where he was joining, somebody. But it's not really apples to apples because Brady plays every game. Yes, he only plays on offense, but Scherzer only plays on defense, really. So, and every fourth or fifth day. So
and Brady's not. I mean, not that Scherzer looks to play this role, but Brady's not a gunslinger.
No,
Scherzer's been here and there and helped some teams win.
Right.
I not necessarily by design.
Scherzer's not the best to ever play his position. Brady is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There you have it. All right. No, one other thing I wanted to bring up, and this is where I'm open the beer first. Buck Showalter, right? I mean, he's the guy. Excuse me. He's the guy they got to go after. Now, there's reports out.
There's a few guys they're going to talk to first.
Well, of course, yeah, right. They're going to do their due diligence and everything else. But there's reports out there that Max Scherzer. Hold on one second. Damn it! Should have drank the beer before. There's reports out there that Max Scherzer wants Buck Showalter. There's reports out there that Steve Cohen wants Buck Showalter. Clearly, almost every single fan wants Buck Showalter, right? Clearly, they're going to do the due diligence and everything else. But I don't know if you've seen it over the last several days between Twitter, Facebook, and baseball night in New York. Anthony Recker has been nonstop promoting Bob Guerin.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over again. I'm just is Anthony Recker his best friend or his agent? I don't know. he left the Mets after the 2015 season to go take the same position as a bench coach out in L.A. with the Dodgers. And granted, the Dodgers obviously have done well, and he did well with the Mets in 2015, but he didn't, he was in Oakland. Apparently there were issues there. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy or he would be a bad coach, but, in my mind, if you have your choice between Bob Guerin and Buck Showalter, you take Buck Showalter. It's just, it seems easy to me to make this decision.
Yeah, well, but this is more of the, I don't know, we got to come up with a name. Maybe it's the Alderson elixir or the Alderson poison.
Yeah, but to me, the $140 million guy you just signed and the owner of the team wants one guy, and Alderson's going to say no.
Does Showalter want to? Does Showalter want?
He wants to. Yeah. He wants the job.
But listen, that comes with Buck, and who's not necessarily. We're all thinking he's not necessarily, down by law with the way things work, right? But he's an old school manager, and he's going to do things his way. And listen, he's made some questionable decisions in the past, but he's certainly had more success as a manager than not. But look, this is again, Guerin was not with Alderson in Oakland, but they both know Billy Beane, right? So there's that connection, and that's the sort of thing, And look, there's other names that are being thrown around now, right? Don Kelly, Joe Espada, and Brad Ausmus.
And Ausmus, yeah, and Ausmus, that's your connection to Epler right there.
Yes,
Epler hired Ausmus,
right, and hired him to manage the Angels. That was only for 1 year, but that was supposedly because Artie Moreno wanted Joe Madden when he became available. So Ausmus was, and of course, let's see. Ausmus also went to Dartmouth, just like Sandy Alderson and his son, Brian Alderson, which is a great reason to hire someone because we all went to the same Ivy League college.
Right.
So, this is the sort of idiocy that you have to wonder about. How much of this is painting or tainting what Sandy Alderson is telling Steve Cohen. And I mean, I hate to say it right now, but if I had to put down a bet, I would bet against Showalter ending up with this job.
You really think?
Yeah.
Who do you think it's going to be? You think it's going to be Ausmus? Or you think it's
I think it'll be Ausmus or Guerin. I don't. Maybe Guerin has the
edge.
The edge, yeah.
Right.
But I just, unless Steve Cohen's going to go, okay, enough. This is the guy that I want, and this is the guy that we're paying $43 million a year wants. Let's make that happen. And if you can't make it happen, Sandy, then thank you. The door is right over there.
Right.
Unless that's going to be his attitude, which it doesn't seem to be. And understandable. He I think he's as much as said. I'm not a huge baseball guy, right? I'm the team owner and I love baseball, but I don't, doesn't consider him. I don't think he considers himself fit, the guy who's going to make all the decisions, right? There are better people to make those decisions. But at some point, you're the guy with the keys, man. You should get what you want, Uncle Steve.
Make the decision. Exactly. Yeah. Just say, hey, look,
and
Sandy, go get me this guy. If you don't get me this guy, go.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a list of 6 names here, and what the fuck are you talking to 6 guys for?
Right.
Now, maybe it's because, 11 guys turned down the president of general vice presidency operations or whatever the hell that job was.
It's been widely reported, and it's come from Buck himself, that he would take the job.
Yeah. So. But he's going to take it under his terms.
Of course. Well, I mean, yeah, there's obviously therein lies the rub. But then again, if you're going to go out, if you're Sandy Alderson, if you're Steve Cohen, and you're signing Max Scherzer for whatever amount of money at all costs, and you want to show difference, and you want to show change, and you want to show, it's a statement, right? And Buck's your guy, and Buck's the guy that's going to take this team and turn it around, and they're going to be competitive, and they're going to get to the World Series, and they're going to do good things, and so forth and so on. And you're Steve Cohen, and you believe that. Who gives a shit what he wants? Give it to him. He's not going to ask for $30 billion a week. It's going to be within reason.
Yeah, no, I don't even think it's money. I think it's about control.
Yeah.
And look,
but I don't think Steve Cohen would have a problem with that. I think Sandy Alderson has a problem with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But look, there's one guy on this list who has 1 year of managing experience, and that's Ausmus, right? There's 4 guys on this list who have 0. And there's one guy.
I'm not sure Guerin's managerial. I mean, he's got a sub 500 record, and he's also been criticized for not being able to handle the kid gloves approach that these players nowadays want. Mm-hmm. So where does that fit in? It's contradictory. It makes no sense to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Ausmus, I think, is the worst pick out of all these to some degree. I just don't really think I think it's. I'm not sure what you're getting with Ausmus.
Right. I don't get it.
No, you're getting a Dartmouth grad.
Right. Well, that's it.
But my point is, you got one guy in Showalter who's been in the game for how long?
A very long.
And had success.
He played in. He played in the Yankees organization in the '80s in AA and AAA, and then he moved into managerial roles, and then obviously by the early '90s he was managing the Yankees.
Vast experience throughout many facets of the game.
The last 30,
and the other
30
5
plus
guys
years,
have a teacup full. And by the way, you didn't sign Max Scherzer to hopefully win a World Series in the last year of his contract.
You signed him to win a World Series.
You win next year or the year after. That's what you did that for. And none of those other guys have even as much hold a candle to the ability of Buck Showalter to take this team, which isn't a basement dwelling pile of garbage.
No, you have the two arguably the best pitchers in baseball.
Yeah, exactly. So who's the best candidate to take this team and win now?
Who's the best candidate to take this team and get them ready so the next manager can win a World Series the year after he leaves? And that's Buck Showalter.
Then if they're going to
have done that, he's done that a couple of times.
That's true. That's true. Well, that's the thing. Even if he doesn't win over the next 2 or 3 years, when he goes, the team's going to look fucking awesome.
Awesome, man.
Right.
He gets them ready. He gets them prepped and ready.
They're going to be really primed for Brad Ausmus to come in.
Bring in Brad Ausmus.
Away.
Be fucking Barry Switzer and
that's right.
The Barry Switzer of baseball and win a World Series.
I mean, look, Showalter, his last run with the Orioles was not great.
No,
a lot of that he had a great first or second season. I think it was the first season with the Orioles,
right?
And that was the last time I think he made the postseason. And then obviously they continued to go downhill, and that's been the Orioles have sort of stayed there, and that's not Showalter's fault. That has a lot to do with just their inability to really invest in the team. The fact that he stuck around as long as he did sort of surprised me. You know what I mean? He stuck around coaching a pretty dismal team towards the end there. But there's a lot of question marks with Showalter. He's not going to be a pushover. He's not going to be a yes man. And if the Mets can't wake up and realize that that's what they need, that they do need an experienced manager who I think has probably aged into an ability to delegate a lot of things, but also see the big picture, which the Mets haven't had. I think going with the unproven young manager makes no sense for this.
No. Hey, if they really want to do this, sign Buck Showalter and bring Bob Guerin in. And
true.
Not as manager, to bring him in as
he was a big part of the
bench
the
coach, assistant manager, blah 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 blah.
What was he on the Dodgers in 2020?
Same thing, bench coach.
Yeah. And then you can prime him, and then
when Showalter does want to retire, then
I do think in that order, those are their best options: is Showalter and then Guerin.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need some experience. I think they have what you could argue is a veteran team now.
Right.
And this isn't necessarily a grooming for 4 years down the road. That doesn't exist in baseball, and quite frankly, it doesn't exist in sports anymore.
No,
it's not like they have a bunch of rookie contracts like a football team that they're gonna have 5 years to grow it. Right. They don't. They need to win now, especially with the fact that I think the wear and tear on Syndergaard is going to start to show, and I think Scherzer's got maybe 2 prime years left in him.
Yeah. I believe
subprime, but good,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if this past year was any indication, and if his arm toward at the end of the postseason there was a fluke, and it was just because of what the Dodgers were, running him out doing there, he could have one hell of a year next year, and maybe because you feed off other pitchers too, because he's going to be not only are the other pitchers going to be feeding off of him and Jake, he's going to be feeding off of Jake. So
yeah, don't become the Knicks. Don't become the Knicks, Mets. Don't become the Knicks. Don't waste. Go out there. You've done better than the Knicks in the fact that you've been able to get bigger names to come play for you. Put a manager in place and go. It's now. I think the Mets need to win now. I think they need to go all in and win.
They absolutely do.
100%.
And you're right. They're not a bunch of kids.
No,
but they're not old.
No.
They are veteran players, but this is still a pretty young team, and this
the oldest person on the team was just signed to a $140 million contract.
Yeah, man, this is the time right now. So we shall see.
We shall. All right. But yeah, the whole Wrecker is just it's amazing. Anthony Wrecker is that motivated. It's every time you turn around, he's on Twitter, he's on Facebook, he's on TV, just pushing Bob Guerin.
Yeah, and it's not that the players are old, but they're experienced. And some of them, if you're going to go out and get a Starling Marte and potentially a Chris Bryant and a Max Scherzer, you're getting veteran players who you're bringing in to win a championship.
To win now.
Yep.
Not win in 5 years, win now.
You
want to win in 5 years with your good players that you have in Double and Triple A.
Right.
You want to win now with these players you just brought in.
And there's no such thing in baseball anymore. Look, the World Series champion this year rebuilt an entire new team at the All-Star break or at the trade deadline. So that proves that it's not about the long term anymore.
It's not. It's about doing the right moves throughout. It's about having a core team, making the right moves at the trade deadline, and getting hot at the right time.
And that's a lesson.
Really, all it boils down to.
And that's a lesson for the Mets that I think they'd be willing to do based on some of the moves that this owner's done. Is that they're probably going to get the best roster they possibly can to start the season, but they might not be done. They might not be done making moves.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Well, and don't forget that the moves that the Braves made last year were made because a young superstar got hurt.
Right.
Those were not moves that they would have made, most likely.
Yeah,
all of them, certainly.
If
Ronald Acuna was playing, in the second half of the season.
If Acuna did not get hurt, they wouldn't have made the moves they made. Right? Exactly.
So, they sort of filled.
Acuna getting hurt won them the World Series, basically.
Yeah, and listen, and to their credit, they, decided they were going to go for it and do what was necessary and felt the other pieces were in place. And it worked out for,
right.
for better or worse.
Well, you could say the Dodgers did the same thing, and the Dodgers also had some. I would say that the injuries to the Dodgers,
call them the dollars. That's even
was even more because they lost their best pitcher or one of their best pitchers. Mm-hmm. They lost two of their best pitchers, but one for injury reasons, the other one for boneheadedness. They lost their best power hitter. They were dealing with a lot of injuries, but they went out and got some great players.
Yeah, you can't put Bauer in that category though because he wasn't around at all.
Right. No,
yeah.
but
really. he would have certainly made that team better had he been pitching for them. Yes,
so they would have had 3 of the top 10 pitchers in baseball. You can't argue that.
Yeah, that would have been insane.
One other thing on the whole
they might have won the division.
Yeah, they
very
well have won the division.
They might have won the division with 109 wins.
Yeah. Trevor Bauer could have been the difference in losing to San Francisco in the division, or not.
One other note on Buck Showalter, and then we'll move on to football. I just wanted to bring up there's people coming out of the woodwork, literally calling for Buck Showalter to go to the Mets. And I don't know whether it's a Mets thing or a Buck thing or what, but
he's the big name that's available.
Right. But get this, we've talked before about like when we did our movies and everything. We've talked about movies. Remember we talked about Little Big League, the movie Little Big League, where the kid's grandfather passes away and leaves him the team, and he managing it. Right. One of the pitchers on that team was the actor Scott Patterson.
We're really digging deep. We've
Yeah,
lost
no.
We've lost any listener.
I just want to say really quick.
Is he a Dartmouth grad?
I don't know. He came out. He literally came out on Instagram the other day and said, because he actually was a pitcher for the Yankees and he played with Showalter. He came out on Instagram the other day and said, the Mets got to hire Buck Showalter. Sandy or Steve Cohen, please hire this man. Anyway, so I just thought it was funny.
All right.
Want to bring it up. Anyway, all right. Let's.
Final note to end on.
Well, he was an actual pitcher, so that's why he said it.
So he has some credibility. To end on a happy note, don't know if you saw the clip of the Latin American Legends Home Run Derby.
I saw a little bit about that, but I didn't see the whole thing.
Bobby Abreu raking, hit 5 homers in that, which was kind of cool to see. You can find the clip on, I don't know, somewhere out there on the
5
internet.
Homers.
Pretty fun. Nice to see it. And Abreu, I don't know. Didn't he win the home run derby one year?
Bobby Abreu? I believe he did. Yeah, I think he did.
He hit like 44 or something outrageous like that. It kind of ruined his swing for part of the rest of the season. But,
part of the rest of his career.
Yeah, they looked like they weren't baseballs, though. It was more like a softball.
Really?
Yeah, so not sure how far the fences were, but they weren't that close. Anyway, I don't have much details about it.
Legends.
Kind of cool to see
Latin Legends.
Bobby Abreu. Yeah, Latin American Legends Home Run Derby. You can look that up and see Bobby Abreu parking it 5 times.
There you go. All right.
How old is Bobby Abreu?
73.
78.
Was Bartolo Colon pitching to him?
Well, the guy was throwing like underhand.
Yeah,
he was lobbing them.
It was kind of it was like a post T-ball. The kids are just learning to start to hit.
He had the guy put
about 11 feet away and throws it underhand.
He had to the side though too. He just tossed it up, and you hit it.
Yeah,
that's great. All right, let's move on to some football here. Of course, we're going to start with our quiz. We're going to start with our quiz. Before we get, last week we did top 4 quarterbacks pre-1980. This week we're going to do 4 quarterbacks. We're going to do best quarterbacks between 1980 and 2000. So that 20-year span. So I'm going to give you 6.
Got to pick 4.
You got to pick 4. You got to just let go 2. All right.
Okay.
Starting with Pete.
Dropping Michael Strahan. I'm saying it right now.
You're dropping Strahan and
obviously, Sam
Joe
Huff.
Namath. Sam Bradford.
Sam Huff.
All right. Here we go. Pete, you're going first. Here we go. Joe Montana. Dan Marino. John Elway. Boomer Esiason.
Ooh.
Steve Young. And Brett Favre. Once again, Joe Montana, Dan Marino, John Elway, Boomer Esiason.
This is easy.
Steve Young and Brett Favre. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
This is easy.
Boomer and Marino.
You're getting rid of Boomer and Marino?
Yep. Bye-bye.
Wasn't that a TV show back in the...
Marino, because he played for the Dolphins.
I do. There's some sort of...
there had to be a reason other than skill why you wanted to get rid of him.
I'm not thinking about this. This is pure gut reaction.
It's just he's friends with Michael Strahan.
He gets rid of him. He gets rid of a Dolphins quarterback and the only Jets quarterback on the list. That's what he did.
Yeah. I never
was
liked
he was he really a Jets quarterback?
Well, for a couple of years he was.
Yeah,
sure.
But I mean, yeah.
All right.
As much as what's his name? Kurt Warner was a Giants quarterback.
Right. No, well, Boomer was more a Jets quarterback than Kurt Warner was a Giants quarterback.
True enough.
Yeah, that would be. I would say Favre would fit into that equation.
Yeah, there you go.
Much more so than Boomer as far as being.
You left Favre on there because he was really
Yeah.
ahead of his time with his texting abilities. I mean, think about it. He was doing that with a flip phone, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Gotta love it.
Made the cover of Perv Monthly 2 months in a row. Yeah.
All right. So you're
so
Pete,
keeping Joe
you're
and Steve and the Gunslinger and Johnny Football.
And Johnny Football.
The original Johnny Football.
The original Johnny Football. There you go. I don't think Manziel really qualifies here anymore for that name.
No.
Probably not.
He's Johnny College Football.
There you go. Well, somebody actually said the other day that Baker Mayfield is a sober Johnny Manziel.
He's lasted a little longer.
Yeah,
that's rough.
That's because he's sober. That's nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Yep.
He's what, guy? What are you saying?
He's saving on rent because he's living at the stadium.
He's living at the stadium. Yeah. I didn't realize that Alice Cooper was his next door neighbor, though.
No, I didn't know that.
I have to think that's a very entertaining ad campaign.
Yeah.
There's been way more hits than misses, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not a Cleveland Browns fan.
I just can't wait for Flo from Progressive to show up.
Oh man! All right, Harry, who are your picks?
Well, Boomer is easy off this list. He doesn't even deserve to be on the same sheet of paper as these guys. And I'm going to get rid of Favre.
He went to a Super Bowl and almost won it.
Yeah, whatever.
I
guess he just annoys me every week.
Right.
Montana, Marino, Elway, and Young. They're the second, third, fourth, and fifth best quarterbacks in the history of the game, probably. So they're all staying. Brett Favre, Boomer Esiason, see ya.
Gotcha. All right. There you go. There's our quiz for the week. Harry and Pete both keep Joe Montana, John Elway, and Steve Young. Harry keeps Dan Marino, and Pete keeps Brett. All right.
Yeah, there we go.
And there you have it. All right. Let's move on to some football. We'll start out with why don't we start out with this game this past Monday really quick before we get into ad nauseum about the New York teams.
Mac Jones went 2 for 3 with an RBI and a stolen base. Oh wait.
2 for 3 with 19 yards. 2 for 3 with 19 yards. I was hoping that he wasn't going to throw another pass. I was hoping that he was going to finish 1 for 1 for 6 yards. I was hoping that was the final stat.
Yeah, that third pass, I thought one in each half would have been really cool.
Yeah,
and that third pass kind of threw things
all off.
Yeah, Newt Rockne was not
happy
about that.
I don't know if you guys saw the clip. I think it was, the two safeties in the post game. Somebody asked them if they were embarrassed about the performance of the defense, and they, bristled and embarrassed. Oh, we gave up 14 points, and one guy had one long run, and blah blah blah. And one of the, I forget who it was. One of the guys was like, "Yeah, I'll remember that." We're not going to talk to that reporter anymore, or whatever. So they were very bristly and defensive. And I know it's not their place, and they don't want to get on the player's bad side anymore because it's all about access. But I really would have liked the reporter to say, "Yeah, they ran 46 out of 49 plays. You guys gave up 220 something yards against the rush. Everybody knew what was happening. You had 8 men in the box, and you lost. You're not embarrassed by that?
Totally should be embarrassed by that. That's ridiculous.
They should be.
Yeah.
And I listen, whenever they had their film session, if it was Tuesday or whether it was today or whatever, I don't know if they get a day off when you have a Monday night game or whatever. I guarantee you, if the defensive line coach wasn't talking about how they should be embarrassed, then the head coach was. I mean, that was. Well,
I don't know if they should be embarrassed necessarily because Buffalo has not done well either rushing the ball or playing against the run, and that's why I picked the Pats because Buffalo's offense, which last year was very balanced, has not been. They have not been able to establish the rushing game this year.
I agree, but when
the fact that they were 4 points away from a really good defensive New England team in a defensive battle, this was they were home. And in conditions like this, that should have accounted for more for the Bills. And let's face it, they were a couple plays away maybe from at least making this an even closer game or potentially winning it.
Right.
You got to the game ball goes to the New England offensive line.
Sure, absolutely. 222 yards rushing. Yeah. It's the Pats 200 yards rushing. 200 more yards rushing than passing was the first time that they've done that since 1983.
Yeah.
I think the only thing missing from this game, when the run is coming and you can't stop, I understand they're not good against the run. We've seen that a number of times, but you're still a professional football team. You're still a professional defense,
right?
And New England isn't sporting Barry Sanders or Derrick Henry or anybody like that. They're doing it with these no-name backs, and that's embarrassing.
Well, but it does go to prove that if you have a really good offensive line, then you can make a running back really well. Because look, Walter Payton and Barry Sanders were probably better running backs than Emmitt Smith. Not to say that Emmitt Smith was not a great running back, but Emmitt Smith had a much better offensive line.
Sure did.
Emmitt Smith had a brick wall in front of him.
Yeah. So if you put Walter Payton in the same prime of his career on that behind that Dallas offensive line,
forget about it.
It would have been
he would run 200 yards a game.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know which one of these two teams might have come closer to this, whether it would be the Bears with Peyton or the Lions with Sanders. I don't think either one of those teams ever came out and threw the ball 3 times while running nearly 50 plays.
Let me give you that stat really quick.
Okay.
Three pass attempts. It is the fewest pass attempts in a game since 1974. And I'm going to ask you what team had 3 pass attempts in a game in 1974?
Probably the Jets.
It would be the Jets, yes. The Jets. The Jets had,
and all 3 were interceptions.
And they didn't. Well, ironically, the Jets were lower because the Jets actually only had 2 pass attempts in that game in 1974.
Right. It still had 3 interceptions.
So,
I don't know. I mean, it was.
Who's the quarterback in that game?
I don't know.
74, Pete.
That was Fraley Hannaford.
Really?
Sure.
Wasn't Chad Pennington?
I don't think so. No. Chad Pennington Senior.
Chad Pennington Senior. There you go.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, if you're the Buffalo Bills, I don't know what you do now because
you go out and you win the rest of your games and get into the playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean, can you have that bad a run defense and have a realistic expectation of winning the Super Bowl?
They gave up 14 points.
Right.
Yeah.
They lost by 4. So I don't think all is lost for the Bills. I think we all thought the Bills were going to be at the top of
I knew it was going to be a close game. And it could have gone either way, but I just really believed that the Pats were going to win it. And, the master of preparation, whatever the situation, wherever the conditions, wherever he's going, nobody beats Bill Belichick.
Unless you have Cam Newton behind.
Unless you have Cam Newton, well, that's a different story.
But look, the only thing missing for this game were leather helmets and a couple drop kicks.
Exactly.
That's how exciting it was.
Well, on that note, here you go. Monday night, the Patriots rush attempts on 90% of the offensive plays. Single games since the 1970 merger. 90% plus of offensive plays. Monday night was the Pats, 46 rushes on 49 plays. All right. 1978, the Saints, 55 rushes on 59 plays. 74 was the Bills, 61 on 63, and 73 was the Bills, 62 on 67.
And I bet those were all probably bad weather games.
Probably. Yeah. I'll say this, though.
Although they did have O.J. Simpson back then.
They did?
We talk about...
That's true. They might have just ran him for the hell of it.
Brady and Belichick, right? And who's the real... who's better off, or you know what I'm saying? Who's better because of the other guy more so? And what Tom Brady did last year is certainly impressive. And going, I don't know. I guess it was Brady after all. I don't know, man.
No, I really don't. I really don't know.
New England
the answer is neither. They're both the best at what they do in the history of the game.
No. I agree with that, and I think that what Pete's saying is that he's not taking anything away from either of them, but who edges the other out without the other one.
Right.
If Bill Belichick takes this team, I mean, realistically, they could get to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. There's a few teams they have to go through, obviously, but if they even get to the AFC Championship game and put up a competitive game and end up losing, kind of have to. To me, the pendulum swings a little bit, not to the extreme, but it swings back towards Bill Belichick to be able to do that with this team and a rookie quarterback.
It's kind of a silly argument. It's kind of a silly argument because
I know, but it's fun.
But the one thing that I will give to Belichick, which he really has never been great at, is this has really been almost a complete rebuild for this Patriots team.
Sure.
And that is something new for him.
Yeah.
Going out and drafting a quarterback and actually investing in the draft like he has, getting some veterans, and then but also this is showing how, on a macro scale, how his ability to go out and get the best available players that are under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
This is where he excels better than anybody else. And this is where his ability to have more say in the personnel that surrounds him makes him a better coach. It's a luxury that he's earned, but he didn't always have that. He made some missteps early on, especially with Cleveland, etc. But Bill Belichick is arguably in his career coached the best offensive and the best defensive player in the history of the game.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, when you come down to it, sure. Absolutely.
And and you know how I feel. I think he's the best coach of all time. And I would not be surprised, especially with, I think part of New England's rise is also part of the slide that we've seen from teams like Buffalo, like Baltimore, Pittsburgh,
right.
Kansas City, the Chargers. All of these teams have taken major step backwards. Even the Dolphins are maybe the only team that's still as good as they were last year, or sort of nearing what people might have thought they were going to do this year. New England has exceeded that quicker than people have thought, but a lot of that, I think, has to do with the fact that a lot of these other teams in the AFC have slid backwards dramatically.
Sure. Well, I'll give you that based on what you just said there with Belichick. Most 7-game win streaks as a head coach all time. Most 7-game win streaks as a head coach all time. Because remember, the Pats started out 2-4, and they're now 9-4. So they're 7-game win streak. Most 7-game win streaks for a head coach all time. Curly Lambeau, 7. Don Shula, 10. Bill Belichick, 11. So, kind of plays into what you were just saying.
So it wasn't Brady after all. It was Belichick.
Probably more Belichick than Brady. I mean, I'll give Belichick the edge on that statement, but I agree with Harry as well. They're both the best at what they do.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's miles apart, or
no.
It's a tremendous difference, but I'm really impressed with what Belichick has done here.
All right, so let's go back to Sunday and discuss the patheticness that is the Giants.
The Giants. What did they do? Oh yeah,
they got another quarterback injured who should have even been playing in the game. To be honest with you, Glennon has a concussion now.
Who's going to start this week?
Well, according to Joe Judge, he's hopeful. And this really disappoints me that he actually phrased it like this. He's hopeful that Mike Glennon will clear concussion protocol by Saturday so he can play in the game. That had to be the worst Giants game I've seen in I don't know how long.
So Jones is officially out.
Jones is out still with his neck.
They signed another quarterback though, didn't they?
They signed another quarterback to the practice squad. One they actually had last year, played in a preseason game this year. They cut him. He went somewhere else, and now he's back. But he's only on the practice squad. He'll probably come up if Glennon is not ready to go. But for all intents and purposes, Jake Fromm is starting this week.
Yeah, that's who you wanted last week, right?
That's who I wanted. I mean, he was good in Georgia. You
should probably start Jake from State Farm. See how that goes.
Well, Jake from State Farm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he would have been better. But Mike Glennon is not. I'm sorry, Mike Glennon's not a backup quarterback because look at what happened when he had to come in.
That was Joe Flacco when you need him.
That was one of the worst games I've seen in a long time for the Giants to play. The Giants are bad, but that was pathetic. I mean, and you know what? I don't want to say anything about. Okay, it's still Garrett's playbook. It's Freddie Kitchens calling the plays. Blah blah blah. Well, they did a halfway decent game. The week before it wasn't great, but it worked against the Eagles. All right. They were playing the Dolphins and they're playing away. Obviously, I expected them to lose. I picked the Dolphins.
And a hot Dolphins team, let's be honest.
And a hot Dolphins team, 5 in a row now. But
a Dolphins team that's kind of becoming more of kind of what people expected. They were on the up,
that was
right?
My
this
point
season.
earlier. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So,
but I just don't get why. He said he's hopeful. He's hopeful. You should be hopeful that he doesn't clear concussion protocols, and you'd have to make a decision. You should be starting Jake from.
Well, it just tells you probably how.
I almost said Jake from State Farm.
It just tells you how Jake from State Farm is probably maybe in theory a better quarterback in the long term,
right?
But probably Judge probably realizes that he has not prepared any of their backups to step into.
Well, Jake Fromm's been on the team a week. So how much of the playbook does he know?
He's been on more than a week now.
Well, week and a day now. Not even 2 weeks. No, they signed him after. They signed him after. I was going to say Eli. They signed him after Daniel Jones got hurt the previous Sunday.
Right.
They signed him a week. So it's a week and a day, week and 2 days.
Well,
he was available for that game.
He was available.
Hopefully, what he would be doing, or what the staff of the Giants would be doing, would be preparing for him to play and limiting the playbook and saying, okay, we're taking this out, and we're taking this out, and you're going to have X number of plays that you have to learn instead of the entire book. And I can only imagine what Garrett's book is like, right? It's got to have a great deal of intricacy. But so that's what they should be doing, because even if Glennon clears the protocols, if you're just coming off a concussion and you take a good hit, that's it. Your bell is rung again, and you don't want that to happen to anybody. So he should not be a sacrificial lamb, like the wrap his leg in the tape because the bone was sticking out, but it looks okay now. He's had a week's rest. Well, put the kid in, limit the playbook, keep it simple, and go do what you can do.
They won last year with arguably less of a team. Because I think the defense was better last year, but arguably less of a team. They beat Seattle in Seattle with Colt McCoy last year, and that's my question. Why?
Where's Colt McCoy?
Well, Colt McCoy's in Arizona, but why? If he won you a game, he was obviously learning the playbook. He was working with Daniel Jones. He was on the team. Why let him go? What do you need, a different backup quarterback every year?
Yeah,
no sense.
This is actually it's more of an indictment against the Giants front office and with the team that they've put together. Because let's address the white elephant in the room. Okay, is that who have the Giants invested in the most? Okay. As who is their supposed star offensive player?
Saquon Barkley.
Okay, so the Patriots just won a game passing the ball 3 times and rushing it. What was it? 46?
46
times.
So if the Giants, the Giants should be able in situations like this to have some short passes and some screens, but to be able to run the ball down people's throats, because that's what they should have been building their offense around. Right. Because they used a really high draft pick to pick a running back, okay, who has not been able to stay healthy. And quite honestly, when he has been healthy, with the exception of maybe his first season, has not been able to perform. Now, I'm going to leave that there. It's not an indictment against Saquon. It's an indictment of Saquon and the offense and the offensive line and the play calling and everything else.
I'll give you all of that.
Giants have become a passing team with a quarterback who's, when he's healthy, is in the bottom 5 in the league. And now they're a passing team with a backup that has never played a game for the organization.
And about to be a third stringer that just got signed last week.
Right. So this is a problem with the Giants.
I look, and they become a passing team, and it wasn't by design either. They become a passing team because they can't run because they don't have an offensive line. So they become an offensive line through necessity, but they become a passing team through necessity. But as far as Saquon Barkley goes, I just want to say one thing, and I hope I'm wrong. I really, really hope I'm wrong. But is it just me, or does Saquon Barkley look like he doesn't want to get hit?
Yeah, I would be gun shy too.
He's super gun shy.
Yeah.
And that's not a good trait for a star elite running back to have. Not at all.
Here's the 2 things that I'll say.
Devontae Booker right now is a better running back than Saquon Barkley.
Here's the 2 things that I'll say. Number 1, you're right. They became a passing team, not by design, but they played into it with what they did in the draft.
Sure. Oh, yeah, of course.
And with the free agent signing. They brought in Galladay, and they got Tony, which is a good pick. I think it's a great
It was a great pick. It's definitely better than getting Micah Parsons, right?
But neither one of those guys helps your running game, number 1. Right. And number 2, what do we always say about good coaches? What do they do with their players? They put them in the best position to succeed. Saquon Barkley has never been put in the best position to succeed
because he had no coach behind him. He had no
coach. What you just said, they did not build their offense around. They should have been drafting offensive linemen, and we've said this.
They have,
times.
and they've made.
Well, but they haven't done a good job of it.
That's exactly it. That's my point. They haven't
done a good job.
That's my point. Is that is why I can't wait for Gettleman to be gone. I was negative kind of on Saquon after his first year. I've been negative. I was not happy with the Joe Judge signing. Everybody knows how I feel about Daniel Jones. I can't wait for that mistake to go away. Okay. The Giants have made some really, really, really big errors. And most of it is from the front office. Okay.
If not all of it.
If not all of it. Okay. And some of it the Giants are going to have to ride out and live with. Yes, but just getting talent is different than building something that makes sense from a chemistry standpoint. And then going out and getting Garrett was also just a train wreck. Yes. I mean, they've just made decision after decision after decision that has been bad, and they've stuck with it, and they're stubborn with it. And that's my problem with it all, is that, yes, they show hints and moments of being a decent, sub 500 football team, but they're horrible. They're horrible. They're one of the worst teams in the league, and they have been for how many years now? And there's nothing telling me that's going to change next year.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
And it's I can only imagine how frustrating it is because there's some talent on this team too.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't figured out a way to put it together and how to utilize those guys correctly.
Yeah. And in sports nowadays, okay, you have to sometimes realize that this is not working out, and we need to move on. And that is something that the Giants just are incapable of doing.
Let me give you probably one of the NFL's craziest stats of this year so far. Right now, ready? In the last 2 minutes of the first half of every game this year, the Giants were outscored 45-0. After the 2-minute warning of the first half,
just have a 10-minute quarter would be fine.
If the Giants,
did they rank all the teams, or did they just?
No, just for that one. Well, obviously that's the biggest. Okay, I don't know what the others are, but
okay.
I don't know.
This wasn't a list.
It's not a list.
A Giants.
It's not a list.
Okay.
This is the number one. So okay. I mean, I don't know what number 2 is. How far back behind it is? Can't be too damn close because this is just ridiculous. The Giants are horrible. After the 2-minute warning of the first half, in total of all the games that they've played this year, and what are they now? 4-8, so 12 games. All right,
they haven't scored a point.
They've been outscored 45-0 in the 2 minutes, the final 2 minutes of each of the first half of each of the 12 games
it's less than 4 points a game.
Oh well, you can talk.
You
like
want to
that.
look at it that way?
Sure,
it's a field goal.
Yeah.
They just give up a field goal every time in the final 2 minutes.
Right. The problem is they're only scoring field goals.
Let me ask you guys a question.
That's a half of.
Let me ask you guys a question. Okay. Going into the season, okay, Mac Jones as a rookie never played a snap. Did you?
Giants could add him too, by the way.
Well, I know. And Daniel Jones in his third year now. Fourth.
No. Third year. Yeah.
Okay.
Saquon Barkley's his fourth.
Barkley's in his fourth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who had offensive line aside? Who had more offensive weapons at his disposal on his side of the ball going up? I mean, I think it's easy. I think
Mac Jones or Daniel Jones. Mac Jones or Daniel Jones?
Yeah.
Are they cousins, by the way?
No. But they're starting at a law firm called Jones and Jones.
Once
their careers are over.
Exactly. Daniel Jones had many more weapons at his disposal.
And do you think that? I mean, granted, New England's offensive line has performed really well, but do you really think at the end of the day, individual to individual, performance-wise, player-wise, that New England's offensive line has that much more talent than the Giants' offensive line?
No, they have that much more talent at the coaching position.
Well, that was my point. That is my point, is that is the difference.
I'm not just talking about Bill Belichick either. I'm talking about his assistant.
It's that Jason Garrett and Joe Judge never looked at this Giants talent pool and said, here's what we need to do in order to make these
the guys we have work.
And to work not only, Belichick's the kind of guy, it's not about working to your strengths. It's how do I not expose our weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
That's really how you coach.
Sure.
Okay. And that is the difference in the Giants. It's this hopeful optimism that it's what did Einstein say is insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Right. That, for me, that's why I have given up really caring about the New York Giants, because it has been this way since they sat Eli Manning in the middle of a consecutive game streak. Okay. Since that fucking moment. Okay. The Giants have made bad decision after bad decision, and it doesn't matter who's there, because what has it been, 3 coaches now?
It's been 3. This is I mean 4, 5 if you count that year too.
Right, 5.
Right,
5 shitty coaches. So
Mac a douchebag.
Yeah.
Steve Spagnuolo at the end of the season, and of course he went on to have a much better situation for himself in Kansas City.
Right. Spagnuolo's a good defensive guy.
Right.
Always has been, even with the Giants. I thought he was.
Mm-hmm. And 4, not 5, 4.
Yeah.
And then Pat Shurmur, and then
And Shermer's stinking it up here. There's no name with more vitriol being uttered in Denver than Pat Shurmur's name.
Right.
Okay. So they've just made bad decisions, and they don't have the leadership that they need in order to put themselves in a position where they can win games. They just don't. And it's not. And I don't think it's going to take. Gettleman leaving could potentially change course. But I think that it's got to be more than that. And I think the Judge Jones era is going to be another 2 years or whatever it's going to take.
It's going to be another 2. They're going to give him an option for 5. He's going to have, Judge is going to get another 2 years. Jones is going to get another 2 years.
And maybe
they'll be a little better, but they're not going to be where they need to be. And
but
everything, all contracts are going to be done. People are going to be out, and it's going to be another rebuild.
But watching the Giants for what will be 10 years of less than mediocrity is mind-numbing.
One playoff season,
right?
Since they won the Super Bowl, since they won Super Bowl 46,
okay.
All right, in January of 2012 or February 2012, all right, one playoff season.
That's what I'm saying.
And they lost the playoff game because everybody had to go on a boat with Justin Bieber.
I mean, the Giants, to me, have not been this sad as an organization since the Joe Pisarcik era.
Discipline.
Since pre-Parcells.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I don't think
Giants haven't been this bad since the 70s. They haven't been this bad since Bill Arnsparger and John McVay. And I'm not even including Ray Perkins, because Ray Perkins actually did start to get the team.
Well, Ray Perkins was the Buck Showalter of his time.
Right. He set everything up for Parcells.
He did. Right. I mean, a lot of those decisions came from Perkins.
Yeah.
But I don't think getting rid of Gettleman is going to solve the problem. Because
no.
You might have better
well
personnel decisions,
if
you're still shoveling them into the same system run by the same guy.
Well,
if they can somehow channel George Young and get him into somebody else, then maybe that'll work.
Getting rid of Gettleman, put somebody else there that knows that, hey, in 2 years I'm going to be able to. I'm going to start now to to prep for who I really want here. Then that's okay. And here's something that the Giants, again, this is the Giants being stubborn and not taking advantage of things. Mm-hmm. I think that this would be a great pickup for the Giants if they possibly could.
Go for it.
I have a feeling that there's a chance that after this year, a certain coach on the Pittsburgh Steelers may not have his contract renewed. And if that is the case, he would look very good manning the sidelines for the New York Giants.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I'd have to agree with that 100%, but there's just way, unfortunately, depending how you look at it, but fortunately or unfortunately, there's way too much loyalty in that.
Building. I get it. But this is the problem with the Giants.
And I'm not 100% sure that Tomlin's going anywhere either, because the Steelers have had 3 coaches since 1969.
I know. But what I'm saying is that's what the Giants need. You know, we're talking about the Mets and what the Mets need. The Giants don't need to take chances on unproven bullshit anymore.
No.
Okay? We don't need to get Rutgers assistant, locker room attendant to come in and be the head coach of the New York Giants.
I wish that happens.
Okay?
Oh, please. They give me so much to talk about.
Really couldn't be much worse, to be honest, if you did that. But
right.
Rutgers assistant locker room attendant is our new head coach.
That's kind of how I
gotta
feel.
Love it.
That's kind of what I thought with Judge. I thought that he was unprepared, and it's proven true.
He's totally unprepared. You know what? I'm convinced. Because look at what Josh McDaniel did out in Denver. Look what Matt Patricia did in Detroit. Look what Joe Judge is doing in New York. I'm convinced that Bill Belichick is never going to let anybody that could succeed without him.
Right.
I'm buying it. I'm buying it at this point. It's 3 people now. It's not a coincidence. It's not.
Well,
anymore.
and there have been others too.
Sure, but those are the 3 top names.
Mangini.
Man, there you go. There you
Right?
go. Right. Oh, he had minor success with the Jets. He probably had the most success of all 3 of them. Of the other
true.
Very minor.
Yeah, but still, he did better than McDaniels and Patricia and Judge have been doing.
Yeah.
Right or wrong?
It still means nothing at the end of the season, though.
Yeah. Well,
he still.
Let me read you this really quick. One of the blog posts on Facebook for Giants groups, I should say, or whatever. I'm not going to quote who it was or whatever, but this one guy put, "This is a list of what has been learned by all this season about the Giants. Number 1, too many injuries. Number 2, bad offensive line for 8 straight years now. Number 3, a defensive line that misses Dalvin Tomlinson and can't pressure the quarterback." True, absolutely. Mm-hmm. That Dalvin Tomlinson is the X factor in why this defense is worse this year than it was last year. 4, a tight end who has bad hands and can't block. Yeah. And 5, no good linebackers.
Well, in their defense, they had a very good one who got hurt.
Well, this is true. They have, exactly. They have no good linebackers now without Blake Martinez.
Right.
So, on that note, though, Aziz Ojulari has the rookie franchise record right now at 6.5 sacks, and there's still 4 games to go, 5 games to go. So
let me ask you guys this: whenever that I forget what it's called, the NFL draft, it's never gets a lot of publicity, as you know.
They think they do that in April or May or something.
Yeah, it comes around every year.
Somewhere there, yeah. I think every year or every other year.
I think it's every year.
Maybe it is. I got to check.
Anyway, I heard somebody say this the other day, and I thought, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Giants should take wherever they are, and if they can, whatever, move up or wherever.
Right now they're 5 and 6. Right now
wherever their pick is.
Right now they're 6 and 7.
Okay, 6 and 7.
Jets are 4 and 5.
Giants take the best offensive lineman there is on the board and the best edge rusher there is on the board with those 2 picks.
No offensive line?
No. 1 offensive lineman and 1 edge rusher.
Oh, I thought you said defensive line. I'm sorry.
Oh, maybe I did, but I meant offensive. Yeah. So they take the best offensive lineman and the best edge rusher with those 2 picks.
They've done that before. They've just made bad decisions.
They took the wrong ones.
Well, but
Andrew Thomas is coming around, but I still say 2 years ago they should have taken Tristan Wirfs. Period. He's a better.
But you won't have Dave Gettleman making those decisions.
That's my point. I think we're saying the same thing.
But should they do that now that maybe they'll get it right this time?
Maybe.
Wouldn't that go a long way towards solving their problem?
I agree.
Well, having Micah Parsons would be good. Having Mac Jones would have been good. Mm-hmm. Having fill in the blank. There's a long list of draft picks that the Giants made that they gave up.
They let Dalvin Tomlinson walk. And they had Micah Parsons sitting there for the taking.
And they traded down
for a 19th wide receiver. Yeah, because that's it. Just put no offensive line since we don't need it anyway. Just put one guy, just put a center to snap the ball to Jones and have 19 guys run out there and hopefully somebody can catch the ball.
Well, you do that when you have a proven veteran quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can overwhelm a defense with 19 wide receivers.
This is true. You can. Yeah.
There's no coverage that covers 19.
Well, there is when. Well, if there's not, then the other 13 guys are rushing the quarterback that only has one guy blocking for him.
Where's Buddy Ryan with the 118 zone?
Yeah, right.
But he always tried to get the 12th guy in the field.
So
all right, yeah. Well, listen, at least you're not the Jets.
This is true, and
although I don't know, maybe the Jets' future looks brighter than the Giants at this point.
Well, I'm going to get to that.
I agree.
But before we actually talk about the Jets.
Oh, yes.
Are the Jets going to win today? No. I mean, yes. I mean, no. I mean, yes. I mean, no. I mean, yes. I mean, no.
Yeah, that's what you'll be hearing this week.
You'll be hearing that this week.
It won't be. And that's what we heard last week.
Right.
As
Not the
the
week
eminently,
before.
as the Eagles went from eminently beatable by the 4-8 or 4-7 Giants.
Well, hey, I'm putting that all on Gardner Minshew. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
To the almost doubling up the hapless Jets. Which
how many quarterbacks have the Jets had this? Or how many quarterbacks have the Eagles had this year?
2.
Almost as many as the Jets.
Yeah.
I thought there was a third in there for
Jets had 4. Jets have had 4.
Yeah.
There might have been a third in there. But
where is Joe Flacco right now?
With the Jets.
Yeah, I think all he's got to do is walk across the hall.
Did Flacco play in a
Giant.
game with the Eagles at all this year? No, right? Hurts played every game until this week, and then it was Gardner Minshew. Yeah, so only 2 for the Eagles.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Minshew, 20 for 25, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns. Minshew.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a serviceable backup.
Right. So there you go. But
where was he last year?
Minshew?
Jacksonville.
He was in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Okay.
He got replaced by T-Law.
But he had some success there too.
He had a little bit. Yeah.
His mustache
couple
was
games.
more popular than his.
Well, it was his mustache had success in Jacksonville.
Well, I mean, once people kind of figured him out, he
right
struggled a little bit, but he started off hot. Look, the Jets are bad, and they have a rookie quarterback, and they got a rookie coach, and
I don't know. Well, that's a question. All right. Now let's look at what did the Jets do? Hold on. Let me look at Zach Wilson's stats. Not bad. I mean, other than more attempts, 23 for 38 for 226 yards, 2 touchdowns and 1 pick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was the problem was, I mean, they had 58, 67, 69, 70 yards rushing. That was it. They had 70 yards rushing, and the Eagles had almost 200 yards rushing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the Jets are sort of in the Bills camp as far as rushing defense goes.
Yep.
As far as rushing goes, they don't rush the ball well,
right.
and they don't defend against the run very well.
No, exactly.
And listen, as much as this is a passing game and all that, if you're not running the run and shoot,
no,
you need a running game, and even the running shoot. Think back to those Oilers teams, or a little bit of the Falcons. I think Glanville ran kind of a modified run and shoot.
A little bit.
But particularly the Oilers, they had some decent running backs. They had some guys that could run the ball. So you can't just do it all.
Running backs,
yeah, you can't just do it all with the pass, and nor should you be asking Zach Wilson to do that. And they don't have the receivers to do that, so they just don't have enough of any. Bless you. One thing.
Yeah. I see a weird stat here. Zach Wilson carried, and I know how it works, but it's just funny. Zach Wilson carried the ball 3 times for a total of 0 yards.
Yeah.
An average of 0.0. All right. But he had a rushing touchdown.
Yeah. Well,
I know. That's great.
It's all where the knee goes down.
Yeah, no, I know. No, well, no, I mean, he obviously had 1 yard and then he lost a yard on one of the other rushes. But still, it's just funny. But yeah, let me ask you that question. Who's going to finish out right now? The Jets are what? The Jets are 3-9.
3-9.
And the Giants are
4-8.
4-8. Right. Jets are 3-9. Giants are 4-8. So the Giants have a 1-game lead on the Jets. Who is going to have a better season by the end of the season?
Record-wise?
Record-wise.
The Giants, but not by much.
By the same 1 game, because they're just going to both of them are going to lose.
I could see both of them losing out the rest of the season.
As much as the Jets obviously lost, the game to the Eagles, I didn't come away from that game, and granted, I was watching more of the Giant game than I was the Jets, because that's 2 weeks in a row the Jets and the Giants were on at the same time, which is weird. 1 week is weird. 2 weeks in a row is odd. But I didn't come away looking at, flipping back and forth and looking at some on Red Zone and looking at a little bit later. I didn't come away thinking it was as big a stinker as the Giants put up.
I think the Jets have one chance to win in the next, what do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. Mm-hmm. I think they'll win one of those 5. I think they'll beat Jacksonville.
Okay.
Other than that, they're not winning.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's take a look here.
They got the Saints, the Dolphins, the Jaguars, the Bucks, and the Bills. they're going to win one more game, and they're going to be
Saints, the Jaguars, the Dolphins, the Bucks, and the Bills.
Yeah, they're going to be
So
4.
they're gonna beat the Jaguars.
I think so.
Yeah,
That's their best chance. They could have a fluky win, maybe against the Dolphins.
This year, I don't see that happening, especially because the Dolphins are going to be zeroed in.
Yeah. But you know what, Dolphins? Well, what week is that?
I think they have a better chance of beating the Saints actually than the Dolphins. But that's just my.
I agree.
Let's see. When do they play the Dolphins?
They play the Dolphins next week.
Yeah, week 15
in Miami. They host the Jaguars.
Yeah, they might. That I would say that could be sort of a trap game for the Dolphins.
So the Jets will win 4 games, which I think somebody picked them to do.
Yeah, they host the Jags.
Did I pick them to win 4 games this year?
Then they host the Bucks. Or maybe they'll win the Bucks game.
Highest 4. I think he went 3.
The Jets?
Yeah.
You had them 4-13.
I did.
I had them 5-12. And no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I had them 5-12. And
Pete had them 6.
Pete had them 6-11.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be right on with what.
Well, 6-11 at first, and then after you and I went, he changed it to 5-12.
Right.
Yeah. So the Giants are at San Diego. You know, the Giants could. Then they play the Cowboys. That's always a crapshoot with the Giants and Cowboys. So then the Eagles. I think the Giants could win one of those 2 games. They play at Chicago and Washington. So the Giants have a much easier schedule than the Jets. The Giants could win maybe 2 more games.
Yeah.
I'm going to give them 1 more.
They might win.
So the
3.
Giants will be, I think, will be either 5.
They're going to lose to the Eagles. They're going to lose to the Cowboys.
See, I think they might win one of those 2 games.
All right, but they're going to lose to the Chargers this week. There's the only look. I think they can beat the Bears in Chicago. I think they can beat the
Bears, and
I think they can lose to the Bears in Chicago.
Shouldn't they have won the first time they played the football team?
I think
they should have won.
Yeah, but
should have won that one.
Washington's a better team than they were in the beginning.
I
of
think
the
they can win those last 2 games, and I would think
maybe rip off a win against the Cowboys.
I don't know.
Giants and Jets are each going to win 1 more game.
I think the Giants will win 2. They might win 3. They might beat the Eagles too.
Well, if that's the case, then other than this week, they can win 4 because they're not beating the Chargers in L.A. So that's not happening. But anyway, yeah, I guess you're right. Then I guess looking at it that way, the Giants have a better shot of having a better record than
I can't. I can't see the Jets.
Yeah.
Jets have a harder schedule.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
Yeah, I don't think they. If Kamara's back, they're not beating the Saints.
Right. Well, the Giants are playing the Chargers this week. The Chargers are favored by 10.5 points, and the over-unders.
Unless Tom Brady doesn't play.
I like the Giants getting 10.5.
If Tom Brady doesn't play, the Jets might beat the Bucks.
Who are the Bucks backup quarterback? Who is the Bucks backup quarterback?
Do they have one?
Antonio Brown.
Would they would they need to?
The punter.
Oh man. Which we call it. Well, there was a time that the Giants, their third string quarterback was the punter.
Who knows?
That was about 40 years ago, but anyway.
Yeah, is that Dave Jennings?
Dave Jennings, yeah. 44.5 is the over-under. The Saints are favored by 6. Jets are home, Saints are favored by 6. And the over-under is 44. No, 44.5. So
that game's going to be a lot closer than you think. And the Saints are only 2-4 at home.
Well, the Jets are home.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be. I'd give. What is it? 6 or 6.5?
6. It's 6.
I'd give the 6.
You'll give the 6?
Yeah, Saints will win by.
The Saints have lost 5 games in a row.
Yeah, but they're playing the Jets, which is the great tonic.
Who've only lost 1 game in a row.
It is though. Yeah, the
I
Jets
get
have only
that.
lost 1 in a row. Yeah.
I get that. I actually think, other than Jacksonville, this is the best opportunity for the Jets to win.
I agree. All right, let's talk about some other headlines. Other NFL news. Here we go. Adrian Peterson, first running back ever to score a rushing touchdown with 6 different teams.
Is he still playing?
Yep.
Who's he on right now?
He's on the Seahawks right now.
He's on the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They love bringing back old running backs and giving them some Skittles.
Yep.
Good for him. I mean,
He
Adrian
scored
Peterson is
every team he was on.
Great player.
The Vikings, the football team, the Lions, the what else was he on? I forget.
Washington.
I said the Washington.
We said that.
Yeah.
I think that's
Who's
it.
for the Seahawks?
Well, no. There's 6 teams. Hold on, I got it right here. Actually, I'll just look at it and be able to tell you.
He played for the Cardinals, didn't he?
Cardinals, yes. So
Yeah.
the Vikings, the Cardinals, the football team, the Lions, the Titans, and
the Titans, that's it.
Seahawks.
Yeah.
And the Titans and the Seahawks, both of those rushing touchdowns for those 2 teams were this year. So
Right.
within a few weeks of each other.
How old is Adrian Peterson?
37, 38.
Good for him.
Yeah.
He's now tied with Jim Brown for career touchdowns.
Career
10th.
touchdowns. He gets one. Yeah, he gets one more. He'll bump.
I mean, he's a
bump
no
up.
doubt Hall of Famer.
Mhm. Oh, of course. Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, it's a system. It's another systems running back.
If he didn't beat his kids with branches, then he probably would have, had a better season that year.
Well,
I think tearing his ACL had a little bit more to do with his down years than his
but he
other
came
stuff.
back from
Other
that probably
issues,
better
other
than
off-the-field
anybody
issues.
who's knee
No, he
was
did.
completely
He came back better
destroyed.
than anybody else with an ACL injury. Absolutely, 100% agree. Yeah.
Well, it was an ACL and an MCL, right?
Yeah. Actually,
It was
right.
both,
yeah.
right?
It's both. Yeah.
Done. That would normally end any
End
other, a mortal human being's career right there. But
all right, here we go. Here's one for you. Russell Wilson. It's been announced that he will apparently waive his no trade to go to one of these 3 teams: the Broncos, the Saints, or the Giants.
Yeah,
I think I said it 2 weeks ago.
We've been saying this forever. Those are his 3 best options.
Mm-hmm. So
I think look offensively. I think that, especially with Pat Shurmur still here for the Broncos, I don't think the Broncos have as much. I think the Broncos have a pretty decent running game. I don't think the Broncos have the offensive weapons to make a difference with that much of a difference between what he has now on Seattle. Right. I think he's going from one team. I mean, the Broncos are a little better than Seattle this year, but I think when it all pans out, they're pretty equal. They're kind of in the middle of the mix.
And the Saints,
I'm not as excited about that. I am not big on the Saints. I am not big on that team and what they have going on around them. I just don't. Maybe he wants to go play in New Orleans. I don't know. There's the possibility. At least he knows what he's getting with. He's got another veteran coach there, Sean Payton.
He's got a great back.
Yes, I get that. But arguably, he's got a great back in New York too.
Yep, couple.
Right. So I think New Orleans is probably I think that's probably where he's leaning.
The safe bet for him.
I think it's probably where he's leaning.
Yeah. New Orleans seems like a team that, like, if he doesn't go there, I don't know. Like, they could just, to me, they're sort of like living on the ghost of Drew Brees right now.
Right.
If Wilson doesn't go there, they don't get somebody or something there. They could just fall off the table. Kamara could leave.
I'm not sure Wilson. Here's my take on Russell Wilson, though. I think Russell Wilson's a really good quarterback on a certain team.
The right situation.
I don't think Russell Wilson is a guy that's going to drop. I think he needs to be on a team that has a balanced attack, that is defensive oriented, and does not rely on him to throw the ball 30
Well, I
times
got
a
one
game.
for you then.
And that's why I think the Giants and Broncos, he might be more successful than New Orleans.
Right. And here's that though. It didn't
there's
come out.
Right. There's another team I think would be.
He didn't
better.
say that he would waive his no trade clause for this team, but what about Pittsburgh?
That's what I said last week. Yeah. I mean, that's the one team that I could picture him going in there. And I think that's the
Because Roethlisberger's retiring. He's done.
And that's also a coach that I think that would also, be a good fit from a head coaching standpoint. I think there's a little bit. That's what he has going for him in New Orleans and Pittsburgh. If both those coaches remain, is that there's veteran coaches that have proven themselves that I think are also, and the Pittsburgh is more of a defensive minded team. They're a little erratic lately in the last few years, but so is Seattle.
Right.
But how big of a splash would that be for the Giants? How big would that be if at the end of the year, Gettleman steps down, the Giants get a top-notch offensive coordinator, and announce the signing of Russell Wilson.
And after they announce the signing of Russell Wilson, that top-notch GM decides that Joe Judge is out. Mike Tomlin leaves Pittsburgh, and he comes to New York.
Even if Joe Judge, yeah, of course, that'd be great. But even if Joe Judge stays, and then the Giants use those. Now, the problem with that is that for the Giants to probably get Wilson, okay, they probably have to give up those two draft picks.
Yeah, they'd have to. Both of them be gone.
But
and maybe something else.
What would you rather have?
Mm-hmm.
The Giants front office picking 2 offensive linemen to protect Daniel Jones, or Russell Wilson with the current setup of the New York Giants?
That doesn't mean that there's no other free agents that they can get, or an offensive lineman in the second and third round.
And then, and again, with Wilson, you can't project out 5 years.
No,
you got to go out and kind of go all in.
You got to go all in now.
All right, let me play a little devil's advocate here.
Go for it.
Because if I'm Russell Wilson,
yep,
and I'm looking at, let's say, the Saints and the Giants as my 2 best options.
Uh-huh.
Do I want to go to the Giants, who have Saquon Barkley, but we don't really know what he is, and he's really going to be, they're either going to have to sign him or not, right? He's going to be in his 5th year. You've got a suspect.
They had at least to give him his 5th year option this year, at least.
Which they will.
Right.
You don't have a good offensive line for him to run behind. You're going to give up those 2 first-round picks, so yes, you may get offensive linemen. And you've got 19 receivers. You have a team in the Giants that is built to throw the ball 30, 35 times a game, which is not the best situation for him. Or, if I'm Russell Wilson, do I want to go to the Saints, who don't have as good a defense as the Giants, but they've got a pretty decent offensive line, enough to protect him, and you've got Alvin Kamara, who is a bona fide superstar running back.
Right.
Let me say something about
Might be a little bit more attractive for him in New Orleans.
Let me say something about this so-called Giants are built to pass thing. The Giants have always carried the same amount of wide receivers on their roster as they always have. Okay?
Right, but that's where their talent is now.
It has not been proven that that's where their talent is. Okay? That's my point.
On paper, it's their talent.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got Tony, field, you got Galladay, and, you got a tight end who can't catch or block, which is a whole other story, but.
You got Shepard that's making a lot of money and is a decent slot receiver, and you still got you got Slayton there, and John Ross is arguably one of the fastest guys in the NFL.
And their best weapon is a 97-year-old Kyle Rudolph.
Right. So, is he 97 now? I thought it was just 95.
95. I'm sorry.
So, well, we'll I honestly think he's going to. If he's going to go anywhere, I think it'll come out that he's going to add a team to that, and it's going to be the Steelers. I'm just
guessing. Yeah, that might be the best fit for him.
Right, but there's not a lot of offensive firepower there.
Now, if he doesn't go to the Steelers, let me ask you this question.
He's going to go to New Orleans.
I'm just saying, if he doesn't go to the Steelers, let me ask you this question. There might be another quarterback that the Steelers might be interested in as a bridge quarterback, one to get him to a Super Bowl again. One that maybe beat them in a Super Bowl the last time they were there, that might be looking to leave where he is. Mr. Discount Double Check. Rodgers.
Yeah, he's not right. I mean, if Rodgers is leaving, then Rodgers is the best. Fit to come to the Giants. I mean,
of course.
Yeah.
I just mean for the Steelers.
Yeah, Rodgers and the Steelers is not a match.
I don't see that happening.
I could picture Rodgers in New Orleans just because of, Sean Payton's reputation, and then maybe they're able. Rodgers is not leaving Green Bay.
He's not leaving Green Bay. It's all talk. He'll get what he wants. He'll retire there.
He'll ask Joe Rogan what to do.
That's it. Well, especially if he wins another Super Bowl this year, right?
Yeah. We'll see.
So
we'll see.
Oh, speaking of the Seahawks, Jamal Adams.
Jamal Adams out for the season.
Surgery done.
Yep. There you go. So.
All right.
Most catches by a rookie this year. Devontae Smith, 48. Jamar Chase, 50. Najee Harris, 52. Jalen Waddle, 77.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Was he the first receiver taken? No, right?
No.
Chase was, right?
Chase was Chase. No, who picked first? Well, who picked first? Lions picked first. I gotta look.
They didn't take a receiver though. The Lions.
No. But I mean, who
the guy
picked
from
first?
Alabama went first. Well, there was two guys from Alabama, right?
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying. Well, Chase would be the one, but who picked first? The Bengals or the Dolphins? Maybe the Bengals picked first. Then it'll be Jamar Chase. Yeah. So there you go.
But he didn't play, right? He was the one that didn't play.
Jamar Chase?
Yeah.
No, he played.
I thought he didn't play that season. They were going to draft him anyway.
The last season for Alabama?
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure he played last year.
I thought it was two receivers.
Oh, no, wait. Jamar Chase didn't play in Alabama. I'm sorry. Jamar Chase played in LSU. Jamar Chase from LSU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're right. There was another one that didn't
There were
play.
two guys from Alabama.
Yeah.
One of them didn't play because of COVID or whatever, but he's still...
Trevor Lawrence was the first pick.
Right.
Then Zach Wilson, Traylon. So the first, Jamar Chase was the first receiver. Fifth
is the first receiver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kyle Pitts technically was the first, but he was a tight end.
He's fourth to Atlanta, right?
Yeah. So here, yeah.
So Jalen Waddle went what? Sixth?
Jalen Waddle went sixth. Petty Sewell, who I'm not sure how Sewell's doing this year. Maybe that was J.C. Horn was a cornerback. Patrick Surtain, good pick by the Broncos, by the way.
Yeah.
And then Devonta Smith went to the Eagles with the 10th pick.
Okay.
Which was the Cowboys pick.
Which is the Giants pick, right?
No, it was the Cowboys pick.
Okay.
The Cowboys flopped with the Eagles.
Yeah.
Which left Micah Parsons available for the Giants, and then they traded.
Yeah, Justin Fields, Micah Parsons, and then Rashawn Slater, the offensive tackle, guard, quarterback. Mac Jones went 15th. A linebacker for the Cardinals, Zaven Collins, Leatherwood to the Raiders. Yeah, so there wasn't another wide receiver until the Giants.
Until the Giants picked Tony, yeah. Was that 23rd or 24th? Or
20th.
20th, right, yeah, 20th.
Yeah, and then the next wide receiver was Rashad Bateman from Minnesota at 27, and Elijah Moore with the Jets at 34. So, look, those top – I think everybody knew that those were pretty safe picks, and they've proven.
Absolutely. But 77 receptions.
For Waddle.
Yeah. For Waddle. He's 25 receptions above Najee Harris, who's in second place. So what receptions?
Well, one was
by rookies.
But where was Harris picked?
Harris was
second rounder, wasn't he?
Second round by the Steelers, yeah. So there you go. Another. I'll throw this graphic up. I got this right here. Take a look at this graphic. Here we go. First 12 career starts.
Here we go.
Mac Jones record of 8-4. Tom Brady record of 9-3. Completion percentage. Mac Jones 70%. Tom Brady 65%. Touchdowns, interceptions 16-8 for Mac Jones, 16-10 for Tom Brady. Yards 2,850 Mac Jones, and he only threw for 19 last week. 2,850 for Mac Jones and 2,491 for Tom Brady. So there you go.
But there you go.
Yeah.
Systems quarterback.
There's the big factor.
It's a different league now too.
It's a different league. And also, Mac Jones has a coach, the greatest coach who's ever coached the game, who's got 20 years of experience under his belt.
Right.
At this point,
right.
20 years more experience than he had with Tom Brady.
Right. This is true.
That has to count for something.
Absolutely. I have another one here. This was a meme. These are two memes regarding the Minnesota Vikings. This one came up. It's if you spent over 50 years choking, you'd be purple too. Not sure if I agree with it, but wanted to throw that up there. I don't think they've spent 50 full years choking. A good number of those 50 years, but not that. But this was a funny one. CFL breaking news. The CFL's trading for the Minnesota Vikings. So nothing for me. Nothing for me.
Maybe with a bigger end zone, Kirk Cousins can.
Well, it's a Kirk Cousins. I mean, he didn't lose that game against Detroit for them.
No. Yeah. No, it was a deep defense that let them. I can't believe how open. You don't back up into the end zone. I mean, that was a poor play at the end of the game there. That's all on the defense. That's all on the secondary right there for the Vikings. That wasn't.
Yeah, you ought to be
Kirk Cousins' fault.
You ought to be almost not bringing the house, but you've got to be blitzing on that final play against a guy like Goff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not sitting back and hoping to,
Right.
Although, look, if if somebody on your defensive line, gets to him a little bit sooner, then that pass,
sure,
isn't thrown or whatever.
Isn't thrown there. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. And one last thing, and we'll move on from this, is Phil Simms made a statement on Sunday. He said he was talking about the NFL's, his picks for the NFL's top 3 units. Right?
Is that teams? Top 3 units?
Units, offense or defense. Or
okay.
Top 3 units in the NFL. His in no particular order. He said the Bucs offense.
Mm-hmm.
He said the Dallas offense, and he said the Pats defense. So the only one I 100% agree with him on is the Pats. I think the defense is phenomenal right now.
I would probably still put the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders above any of those.
Yeah, and look, the Tennessee Titans special
Speaking
teams.
of units, what?
Tennessee Titans punt team is really good.
Tennessee Titans, yeah, specifically the punt team.
And
not all of the special teams.
And obviously the New York Giants field goal unit is top notch.
That's got to be number 1, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, anyway.
That might be what brings Russell Wilson to New York.
The fact that he knows that
he knows damn well he can get 13 field goals from Gano every year.
That is the difference, really, that the Giants are missing. The Giants, in a lot of these games, are missing one more touchdown to go along with their 7 field goals, which is what Russell Wilson has made a career of doing, of staying close enough until the end of the game where he has his 1 touchdown pass after 7 field goals.
True story. All right. Before we get to beaten by the coin, I just want to throw in one new segment. I want to do this, if not every week. Just a quick one. Just a quick one.
There's no such thing as a quick.
Just a quick.
Well, we're not going to be talking about baseball for.
We're not really talking about. Yeah, exactly. So just a quick.
Just 10 minutes today.
We're going to do best sports logos in each city. Best sports logos in each city.
Okay.
All right? Just want your opinion. Just going to vote for one. That's it. And I'll throw them up. We'll start with New York. All right. So I'll throw these up. We'll start with New York.
The Liberty.
There you go. Just the major sports, obviously. I did not put women's wrestling in here. So we got the Nets, the Knicks, the Mets, the Yankees, the Giants, the Jets, the Islanders, the Devils, and of course the Rangers. And that's not necessarily the Rangers logo, the main logo, but
some great logos here. They're all the Giants is kind of iconic,
right?
But my 2 favorite, probably the Islanders and the Knicks.
Okay.
Maybe I just like orange.
Yeah, the Islanders is good. I think the Devils logo is a classic.
I do like the Devils
because there's no writing on it,
right?
And that kind of goes for the Yankees and the Giants as well. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I would say the Devils. Are we picking 1 or 2?
I like the old Giants
logo
better.
You can pick
anyway,
3, where it's just Giants spelled out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I would probably pick the Devils.
Give me top 3. There you go.
Probably the Islanders. And now the Knicks is pretty good too. That 3D lettering coming out over the ball. Yeah, it's a good logo.
Yeah, I think I agree with those 3.
Yeah. So the Devils, Islanders, and Knicks. I'm gonna go in diagonally up from the Knicks. Mine are in no particular order: the Knicks, the Mets, and the.
What a surprise!
And the
Giants.
The Mets have always seemed cartoony to me. There's something cartoonish about it, which I guess is okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of old school with this, the city skyline behind.
You also just have the Mets NY, which is like the Yankees but with a different font.
Well, it's actually the Mets logo, the NY, was the San Francisco Giants logo when they were New York. It's the same NY, same font, same logo, and of course their colors are Giants orange and Dodgers blue. That's how they got their colors. So, but in any event, those would be my 3. So cool. All right. So we'll pick another city and we'll look at them next week. Or,
All right. I
or
like
not.
that.
Yeah, wait till we get to Kansas City.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be good, right? Anyway. All right.
Or
So,
LA, we're gonna have like 19 logos.
LA there'll be like 3 million.
Up until what's your favorite pro sports logo in Portland?
Let me think about this one for a second. Mine would be the
Timbers?
Portland Lillards.
Yeah.
So,
the Starbucksons.
The Starbucksons. That's Seattle.
There you go. All right. So why don't we get to our picks this week? We're beaten by the coin. Beaten by the coin.
Beaten by the coin.
I'm sure I'll lose to the coin.
No one wants to be beaten by the coin.
All right, here we go. Picks for Week 14. We'll start with Week 13.
We all did pretty well, right?
We all did pretty well. I'm stomping both of you, though.
You went 5-0?
By 2 whole games.
5-0.
John and I went 4-1.
You both went 4-1. The coin went 1-4. Stupid. This is the week that the coin kind of fell off the table.
Yep.
They were a semi-respectable, a few games under 500, but now,
They went 1-4, right?
Yeah, 1-4. So,
so you had, who did you have that we did?
I had the Clippers.
Oh, that's right.
So, which I didn't even remember that I picked, and I went and looked. I went, yeah, go Clippers!
Finally,
I'm
Chargers.
shocked that they did what they did that game.
Yeah.
Well,
By
a lot
the
of
way,
it was turnovers.
I now have 2 5-0 weeks. Each of you with 1 5-0 week.
Really?
And
kudos to you.
there we go.
Considering that these are tougher games, that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Listen, we're all doing very well. I mean, I think I talked about it last week or the week before, and we were picking around 2/3 correct.
We're better than Terry Bradshaw.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Of course, we don't have millions of dollars to give away or whatever. But
This is true.
anyway, so there we go. So still a close race, and we've got several weeks left. Right, the season's 22 weeks long.
You're up by 3 games.
I'm up by 2. Only
Up by 2, and we have 5 weeks left.
And looking at
And
this
then, of course,
week,
the playoffs, too, because we go into the playoffs.
yeah, and looking at this week, for me, this could be Squander City. And we could all end up tied, or I could be down by a game.
You're going to make some weird choices this week?
I don't know. Maybe.
Week 14 is Pete's week to pick
Well,
oddly.
yeah. It won't
Out
be.
on the limb.
You're going to start throwing.
I won't be picking
throwing
the
some
Jets.
Daniel Jones
Right.
passes.
There you
I
go.
won't be picking the Jets. Anybody want the Jets?
No.
No.
Okay.
But I
But
will not be surprised
However.
if the Jets win.
all right. Where's my coin?
I'll be more surprised than you, but still not 100% surprised.
I don't know where my coin is.
You don't have a coin?
No, then you got to flip your hat or something.
There it is. I got it.
There
Coin takes the Jets. I mean, let's just.
Yeah, the coin loves the Jets. All right, here we go.
Heads.
Heads. Home
There you go.
team.
Oh, shit. It's also the coin has 2 heads, one on each side.
Yeah. There's the right.
It's a 2-headed coin, right?
The
And they
coin-
use the 2-tailed coin for the other ones.
All right, Giants visiting the Clippers.
Yeah,
Could
Los
be
Angeles.
incredible last year.
Yeah, LA.
I mean, last week.
Well, they had everything fell apart for the Bengals, but yeah, the Chargers. But Chargers have to win this game.
Chargers will win the game.
Okay.
It might be one of those where I go, if A, Daniel Jones was playing, B, they were decent over the last couple weeks, and in the third place, it was a home game for the Giants.
We have David Fromm, right?
No, Jake Fromm. Yeah, watch Jake Fromm light it up and throw for 400 yards, and they win the game like
it
30
could be
to
the next
nothing.
Mike Smith.
Right, exactly. So,
All right, so we're all
Gi-
taking the
we're all
Clippers.
taking Giants. We're taking the Chargers, yeah.
And the coin agrees. No, coin says tails, which is the away team,
Giants.
which is the Giants. Coin is headed for another 1-4.
There you go.
All right, Pittsburgh visiting the Minnesota Vikings. And just as a note, I believe, let's see, Dalvin Cook might be back for the Vikings.
The way Madison played last week, it doesn't matter whether he's back or not.
Yeah, well, is he going to play that well against the Pittsburgh Steelers? Or if they're both back, listen, if that's the case, Cook could come back in a limited role,
Right.
which
for a limited
more
time.
dangerous. To me, this ends up being a really tough game. Minnesota has lost. I think every game they've lost has been less than 8 points or 8 points or
and
less.
the last minute on the last play of the game they've lost.
And
they have lost more plays, more games on the last play of the game than any other team in NFL history this year.
Roethlisberger had to have his best game of the year for the Steelers to win last week.
Yeah,
and
the Steelers tied the Dolphins, and the Vikings lost to the Dolphins. So you can't even really use that. I mean, you can use that.
The Dolphins are a good team.
Not the Dolphins, the Lions.
The Lions. I knew what he meant.
Not the Dolphins. So
I'm gonna go with
one of them had an rousing success against the worst.
I don't know why, but I'm going with the Vikings. I don't know why. But I'm going with the Vikings.
I'm going with the Vikings. I'm definitely going Minnesota. Minnesota's gonna, especially after last week, they're gonna avenge that mistake, because the other ones that they lost on the last play, they were games that maybe they win, maybe they don't. They should have won this game. They should not have lost to the Lions. They let the Lions back in the game.
And Detroit shouldn't have lost on Thanksgiving.
This is true too.
Yeah.
The Thanksgiving game was Detroit's to win as well. But no, I'm Minnesota's winning the game.
I'm taking Pittsburgh. Slow and steady wins the race.
Mm-hmm.
Slow and chaotic is what Pittsburgh looks
pretty much.
Whatever. I think they revel in that. All right, and the coin says heads.
Vikings.
So I'm on the island. That's what we call squander number 1.
There you go.
All right, next up is the run stoppage less Buffalo Bills against Tampa Bay.
Against Leonard Fournette.
And I don't know, they have a pretty good quarterback too.
I've heard that, yes.
Anybody want Buffalo in this
They have the next Mac Jones at quarterback.
Exactly, right.
Well, they have the first Mac Jones.
I have the first Mac Jones, yeah. No, I'm taking Tampa.
Yeah, I like the Bucs.
Yeah, me too. And I hate the Bucs. Well, I don't hate the Bucs.
You like the Bucs in this game?
I like the Bucs in this game.
There you go.
I'm probably, I shouldn't say this, but I mean, just because the Jets are so bad, probably more of a Buffalo fan than you guys are.
I picked the Bills to go to the Super Bowl.
That doesn't mean you're a fan.
Oh.
It just means you're analytical.
This is true.
All right, coin says heads, which is Tampa Bay. So we're all in agreement there.
There you go.
And then finally,
the Monday night game.
My femme fatale, the Rams.
This is the St. Louis Rams versus the St. Louis Cardinals, right?
Yeah, this is the Battle of St. Louis.
Former St. Louis teams.
Former St. Louis. Yeah.
In Arizona.
And one current St. Louis team.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm going to have to go Cardinals on this.
Kind of hard to take the Rams. As much as I love to take the Rams.
Got to go Cardinals on this.
Every week I say, are the Cardinals for real? Guess what? The Cardinals are for real.
Cardinals are for real.
Yeah.
They're for real.
It's in Arizona.
I think it's going to be a statement game, too. I think they want to prove that they're the better team.
Yeah.
I like the Cards.
Well, I think the Rams have looked better the last couple of weeks, or maybe not.
They're back and forth. They're really up and down.
They're really up and down.
All right, well, I'm not picking them anymore because they burned me a bunch of times already.
There you go.
I'd have like a 4-game lead if it wasn't for the Rams at this point. Coin says tails.
The Rams.
Which is the Rams. So there you go. Coin's got the Jets, the Giants, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, and the Los Angeles Rams.
So they're going to win 2 or 3.
Yeah.
2 and you're going to go 2 and 3, I should say.
All right, so there you go.
And there you go.
Make your picks, folks. And
that's our picks for this week for Beaten by the Coin.
Beaten by the Coin.
Cool. Timing is everything. All right. That brings us to
this
was that
only one run through the music bed?
That was only one run. It was perfect.
Oh,
timing.
that was perfect.
That was perfect timing. We couldn't have planned that any better.
Oh, we did.
Well, I guess we did. Yeah. So, anyway, but in any event. All right. Anything else you have? Schedule anomalies or anything like that, Mr. RadioPete, sir? Or?
Nope.
No. All right. So let's get to our top 10 list this week. Our Our top 10 this week is, if you didn't guess it, if you're watching the video podcast and looking at my jersey and cap, it's the top 10 Miami Dolphins of all time. Top 10 Miami Dolphins of all time. And we're going to kick it off with, and of course we don't have 10, we have 11. So we're going to kick it off with, number 10. We have a tie at 4. So we'll kick it off with number 10 is Mr. Hold on a minute.
Uh-oh.
Nope. Hold on. Something's wrong here.
Thought we had a tie at 8.
Yep. Hold on. I have to fix something here. My bad. We do have a tie at 8. I'm looking at the one from last week. So there you go. We're going to kick it off with Cameron Wake. There you go. Top 10 Miami Dolphins of all time. Number 10 is Cameron Wake. Derek Cameron Wake, to be exact. Defensive end out of Penn State, undrafted in 2005. Wound up signing with the Giants practice squad. And then he wound up on the Miami Dolphins in 2009, 4 years later. And
tells you everything about the Giants' ability to evaluate talent.
Exactly. Well, I mean, he was on the practice squad for a bit, and then he went and he played in the CFL. He played for the British Columbia Lions of the Canadian Football League for 2 seasons, and then he went to Dolphins. In 2009, played for 10 seasons, and then he went for a season with the Titans and finished up his career. First team All-Pro in 2012, 3-time second team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. Remember the 100 Sacks Club? And, of course, he was in the Pro Football Focus's 2010's All-Decade team as well. He has some CFL stats, but we're not going to read them because we're talking about the NFL, correct?
Because that's in meters.
Because what?
That's all in meters.
That's all. It was all in meters, yeah. So you can't really judge with that. So,
That's right.
Anyway, that's wrong. There we go. All right, number 10, Cameron Wake. We're going to go to number 9 now is Mr. Nick Buoniconti. Nicholas Anthony Buoniconti, linebacker out of Notre Dame, drafted in the AFL draft in 1962, 13th round. They had 13 rounds back then. Pick number 102 overall by the Boston Patriots. Actually played for 7 seasons in with the Patriots, and then he went to the Dolphins and played for 7 years with the Dolphins as well. 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Dolphins, Super Bowl 7 and 8. 2-time Pro Bowler, 2-time second team All-Pro, 6-time AFL All-Star, 5-time first team All-AFL, 3-time second team All-AFL, American Football League All-Time Team. He's a member of the Miami Dolphins Honor Roll. He's actually in the Pats Hall of Fame as well, and he is, of course, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Nick Buoniconti, number 9 on our list tonight. All right. You guys have anything to say about Mr. Nick Buoniconti?
No.
If I could just say, I'm
Sure.
pretty sure that I'm drawing a blank on the name of the HBO show.
Inside the NFL.
Inside the NFL. That was pretty groundbreaking stuff, right?
It was.
Right.
Him and Lenny
Dawson.
Dawson. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look, he was a Dolphin and part of the
He was good on that show.
72 team, and he was very good. And, you know,
They were
I
both
hated
good.
him as a Jets fan, but
Watched that show religiously when it was on.
but he was a really good player, and that was, you know, something that had not been done before. So a pioneer in broadcasting as far as
Yep,
covering
absolutely.
football. Good for him.
Absolutely. So, all right. There you go. Sorry, I'm just doing something while I'm doing this here. Number 9, Nick Buoniconti. All right. Now we have a tie at number 8. Our first number 8 is Mr. Paul Warfield. Paul Dryden Warfield, to be exact. Wide receiver out of Ohio State, drafted the first round with the 11th overall pick in the NFL draft in 1964 by the Cleveland Browns. Played 6 seasons for the Cleveland Browns and then went to the Dolphins. Played 5 seasons for the Dolphins. On the 5 right seasons he played for the Dolphins. So then he went to the WFL, the World Football League, if you remember. Played for the Memphis Southmen for a season. I believe he went there with a couple more people that we're going to mention tonight. They all left Miami and went to Memphis. And then he finished his career back up in Cleveland. But the 5 seasons he was on Miami are the 5 seasons in question here. 2-time Super Bowl champion. He was an NFL champion in 64 with the Browns. 2-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, 2-time NFL rushing touchdowns leader. He's in the Miami Dolphins honor roll. He's the Cleveland Browns Ring of Honor, member of the 70s All-Decade Team and the 100th Anniversary Team as well. And, of course, he is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Mr. Paul Warfield, number 8, tied for number 8 on our list. Anything to say about Mr. Warfield?
You know, I'm not sure if he made it to my list or not, but I think he was. He's kind of a guy who goes a little forgotten, but, man, you look at his numbers, and it's just really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
Agreed.
really, really impressive. And you know, one of the greats.
He was.
Yeah, a name that you probably even someone like me know. Oh yeah, I've heard of that guy. But then you're right. You look at his numbers and you go, "Holy crap!"
Right.
And again, one of those guys who, for a few years there, was one of the best at his position, and you know, deservedly where he's at on this list.
Absolutely. All right. So there you go. Number 8, tied for number 8, Mr. Paul Warfield. All right. That brings us to our other number 8 is Mr. Mark Clayton. You might remember him as part of the Marx brothers. Mark Clayton and, of course, Mark Duper, that would be. But this is Mark Gregory Clayton, wide receiver out of Louisville, drafted in the 8th round, pick 223 overall in the 1983 draft by the Dolphins, played 10 seasons for the Dolphins, and then finished up his career with 1 season with the Packers. 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, 2-time NFL receiving touchdowns leader, and he's, of course, a member of the Miami Dolphins Honor Roll. 582 receptions for 8,974 total receiving yards and 84 touchdowns.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
I think I was looking at his stats with him and Super Duper, and I think combined they had like 17,000 yards. The big difference is Clayton had a lot more touchdowns, but right. I think they both had almost exactly the same amount of career receiving yards. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, agreed. It is. It's crazy. But the two of them, when you think about that,
what a tandem!
It was a tandem, right? They were out there at the same time, so you can look at it as the Dolphins had, an 18,000 yard career receiver, basically.
That Dolphins offense would fit in today's NFL. I mean, did the Dolphins ever run the ball?
Back then, no. It was all about the passing by. What was that quarterback's name? I forget. We'll get to it later.
He was in my top 20.
I think he's he's up there. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Number 8, Mr. Mark Clayton. All right. That brings us to number 7. Number 7 is going to be Zach Thomas. Zachary Michael Thomas, to be exact. Middle linebacker out of Texas Tech, drafted with in the 5th round, the 154th pick overall in 1996. He played for 12 seasons with the Miami Dolphins, 96 to 07. Then he played a year with the Cowboys, and then he was on the practice squad with the Chiefs for a year, and that was pretty much wound up his career. 5-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, AFC Defensive Rookie of the Year, 2-time NFL Alumni Linebacker of the Year in 98 and 06. Member of the 2000s All-Decade Team. He's on the Miami Dolphins Honor Roll. And, of course, he had played in 184 games with 1,720 tackles and 20.5 sacks. For his career. 17 interceptions, 17 forced fumbles, 8 fumble recoveries, and 4 touchdowns. Zachary Michael Thomas. Zach Thomas, number 7 on our list tonight. Okay. That brings us.
By the way, brother-in-law of someone else who's on our list.
Brother-in-law of somebody else on our list.
Yeah.
Marlo Thomas.
Marlo Thomas? There you go.
No.
Dave Thomas of Wendy's?
Dave Thomas of Wendy's, exactly.
No, they don't share a last name.
They don't share a last name.
Because he's the brother-in-law.
Yeah, I know. I was just making it bad jokes.
Okay.
All right. Well, that'll be next week's quiz.
He's down. Well, no, he's down. His brother-in-law is down our list a little bit more.
Yeah.
He's a little bit higher, I should say, higher up on the list.
Right.
All right, so there you go.
Oh, yeah, I didn't specify whether he was.
Right, we haven't said him yet.
We haven't. Well, that's why I didn't say his name, because we haven't mentioned him yet.
So, all right, number 6 on our list tonight is Mr. Dwight Stevenson. Dwight Eugene Stevenson, to be exact. Center out of Alabama, drafted in the second round with the 48th pick overall in 1980 by the Dolphins. Played his entire career, 8-year career. What was that? 8-year career with the Dolphins. He was the NFL Man of the Year in 1985. 4-time first-team All-Pro, 1-time second-team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, member of the 80s All-Decade Team, member of the 100th Anniversary Team, 8-year career with the Dolphins, and he's a member of the 100th Anniversary Team. So this guy was a good center. All right. He's on the Miami Dolphins honor roll as well, and he is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Dwight Stevenson, number 6 on our list.
Some argue the best center of all time.
Yeah. Great center. There you go. All right. That brings us to number 5. We're in the top 5. All
right.
Larry Little.
Another
Larry
offensive
Little.
lineman.
Little Larry, when he writes his last name first. But Lawrence, nothing little about this guy. Lawrence Chapman Little, guard out of Bethune-Cookman College, undrafted in 1967. Spent the first 2 years of his career with the Chargers, and then in 67-68, and then went to the Dolphins for 12 seasons, 69 to 80. He 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Dolphins, of course, 5-time Pro Bowler, 5-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro. Remember the 70s All-Decade Team, and of course he's in the Miami Dolphins Ring of Honor, and he's also a member of Canton and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And he coached a few years after that in college ranks. So there you go. Larry Little, number 5 on our list. Yep, that brings us to number 4. Number 4 is going to be Mr. Bob Greasy.
Oh, the bespectacled one.
There you go. Robert Allen Greasy, quarterback, of course, out of Purdue. Drafted with the 4th pick overall in round number 1 of the NFL draft in 1967 by the Miami Dolphins. Played his entire 14-year career with the Dolphins, 67 to 1980. Spanned 3 decades. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time AFC Offensive Player of the Year in 71 and 77. And also the UPI AFC Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year in 77. 2-time first-team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, NFL's MVP in 1971. Burt Bell Award in 77. Passing touchdowns leader in 77. 2-time AFL All-Star in 67-68. Miami Dolphins number 12 is retired. He's in the Miami Dolphins honor roll as well. And then, of course, he is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio as well. Passing yards for his career, 25,092. Had 192 touchdowns to 172 interceptions for a career passer rating of 77.1. There you go. Bob Greasy, number 4. Anybody have anything on this?
He wasn't flashy, but he got it done, right? Didn't he
got
go
it
to
done,
like three Super Bowls with him as a QB?
Yeah,
sure.
And he won 2.
He won 2 of them. So
he had some Mac Jones-ish games where he threw the ball 3 times, but you also have to remember that
they're now classified as Mac Jones.
And we're going to talk about this. I am, at least later on, but probably was the quarterback with maybe the best rushing teams in the history of the NFL. I mean, just dominating on the ground with multiple running backs.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. And those Dolphins teams were not necessarily known for like the latter 80s Dolphins teams. They were straight up the middle. We're going to run the ball on you, play good defense, and win,
And win every game that season.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Still to this day.
I mean, he much like a lot of the other quarterbacks that we've talked about, he's just executed really well. Very few turnovers in his career. Absolutely. And still, when you look at his total yards that he passed for, it's pretty impressive.
It is. Over 25,000 yards.
Yeah.
And he is one of 3 quarterbacks from Purdue to win Super Bowls, along with Lenny Dawson and Drew Brees.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all. Number 4 on our list tonight, Mr. Bob Greasy. All right. Number 3 on our list tonight. We're getting to number 3 right now. Number 3 on our list is none other than Zach Thomas's brother-in-law. That would be Jason Taylor. Jason Paul Taylor, to be exact. He was a defensive end and an outside linebacker out of Akron, drafted in round number 3 of the but pick number 73 overall in '97 draft by the Miami Dolphins. Played 11 years with the Dolphins, and then went to the Redskins for a year, back to the Dolphins for a year, went to the Jets for a year, and again back to the Dolphins for a year. So always had to go back and forth. So he is a former Jets player for Pete's prowess back there.
For Pete's sake.
For Pete's sake. There you go. NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 2006. Walter Payton Man of the Year Award in 1977. 3-time first-team All-Pro, 1-time second-team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, NFL sacks leader in 2002, member of the 100 Sack Club, 2-time AFC Defensive Player of the Year in 2002 and 2006, member of the 2000s All-Decade Team, and, of course, he's in the Miami Dolphins honor roll as well. 777 career tackles, 139.5 quarterback sacks. That's crazy numbers. Yeah. 8 interceptions, 46 forced fumbles, 29 fumble recoveries, and 9 touchdowns on those recoveries as well. And, of course, he's in Canton in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Jason Taylor, number 3 on our list tonight. Anything on Jason?
Probably almost definitely the best defensive player the Dolphins ever had.
Yeah, and kind of, I think along with Zach Thomas and a couple other people, a little under the radar. I mean, these for years there, the Dolphins were not necessarily on the radar screen for a lot of people. So
they really weren't.
Yeah, he was also sort of a unique player.
For a lot of these years, it was because there was another team that was kind of taking the spotlight.
Yeah, a little bit. But he was really athletic, and he was sort of a hybrid player. He could play like a linebacker as a defensive lineman and vice versa. So he's really, 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 really quick is the only word I could say. He had incredible lateral movement and speed for his size and was just dominant.
Yeah, he was an athletic freak.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, according to the interwebs, he was married to Zach Thomas's sister, Katina, but apparently they divorced in 2015.
So he's no longer Zach Thomas.
So former brother-in-law
of Zach Thomas. Gotcha.
Zach Thomas and Jason Taylor. But I would imagine they're still pretty good friends.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, it was I think wasn't Taylor got kind of a bit of a shaft from the Dolphins, right, towards the end of his career, or he left, or
well, it was going back and forth. I mean, he left after 2007, went to the Redskins for a year, back to the Dolphins, went to the Jets for a year, back to the Dolphins.
Yeah, and Zach Thomas, I spoke out. I just saw a quick blurb, and went on a couple radio stations that blasted the Dolphins for the way they were treating Jason Taylor. So,
gotcha.
I would imagine they're friends today, despite their non-brother-in-law status.
Right? Gotcha. All right. Well, there you go. Number 3 on our list tonight, Mr. Jason Taylor. All right. That brings us to number 2. Number 2 is number 39 himself. That would be Mr. Larry Zonka.
Joe Pisarcik's best buddy.
Oh, yeah. Larry Richard Zonka, to be exact. Second Larry on this list tonight.
Stone hands Zonka.
There you go. Larry Zonka had no friggin' clue he was getting that handoff.
Larry Zonka had no lateral movement.
Well, that's besides the point. But he had decent hands, though. He had no idea he was getting that handoff. But
he didn't need lateral movement.
He didn't.
That's the only time in my life I ever saw my father throw a sandwich at the TV screen.
I was at that game, and I almost saw my father throw a pair of field glasses and a flask from the upper deck at Giant Stadium to try and hit Joe Pisarcik in the head with it.
My father threw his sandwich at the television. Thanks.
So, I was at that game, but you know what? When we think about it, though, that play, right there, you can trace the Giants winning Super Bowls in the 80s and the early 90s back to that play.
Sure.
So Wellington Mara had enough. He was done at that point. That's it. We're done. Let's do this. So
and
that brought in George Young. That brought in Phil Simms. That brought in Ray Perkins. That brought in Bill Parcells. That technically brought in Bill Belichick. That brought in Lawrence Taylor. It just went from there. So, but let's talk about our number 2 tonight, shall we? Number 2 tonight, obviously, Larry Richard Zonka. Larry Zonka, folks. Larry Zonka. All right. He was a fullback out of Syracuse, drafted in the first round with the 8th pick overall in the 1968 draft. He played for the Miami Dolphins for 7 seasons, 68 to 74. Then he went to Memphis, the aforementioned Memphis Southmen, in 1975. Then he went to the Giants for 3 seasons, from 76 to 78, culminating in basically the play we were just talking about. And then he went back to the Dolphins for a season and then retired. 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Dolphins, Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 8, 5-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first-team All-Pro, 1-time second-team All-Pro, NFL Comeback Player of the Year in 1979 with the Dolphins. And what did he come back from? He came back from fumbling the handoff that he didn't know.
He came back from being Pisarchicked.
He came back from being Pisarchicked. Anyway.
Pisarchick's disease.
His number 39 with the Miami Dolphins is retired. He's a member of the Miami Dolphins honor roll. His number 39 in Syracuse is retired as well. 8,081 rushing yards, average of 4.3 rushing yards, and 64 rushing touchdowns for his career. And he's a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well. Larry Zonka, number 2 on our list tonight. I got a story about Larry Zonka. I'll tell you when we're done. Done with the rest of this list. Anyway.
I will say this about Larry Zonka, like the epitome of his look is the epitome of like the 70s.
Oh, hell yeah.
Man's man football player. You know, he had that chin,
the broken flat nose,
the little
mustache.
dimple in it, the stash, that smile, that kind of a Bill Cowher, or, he was.
It was, and
what were football players like in 1972?
Yep.
Larry Zonka.
And I got to tell you, and I'll tell you the story now. He was an awesome guy, and I'm going to tell you why really quick. When he was on the Giants, in fact, it was about a month before that infamous fumble. It was in October of '78. He and Larry Zonka, Joe Pisarcik, and Jack Gregory from the Giants. They did a dinner with the Giants at the Chinese food restaurant in the town Harry and I grew up in. That would be none other than the Jade Fountain. Jade Fountain, of course, yeah. And of course, my I was on the fire department years later, obviously. But
you were in the fire department when you were 9.
When I was 9, right? Yeah. So my father, the Jade Fountain loved the fire department. So we were able to get a table next to the dais that they were at, right? So we're sitting there, my whole family, we're sitting around, we're eating and everything else. Joe Pisarcik and Jack Gregory didn't get up from the table. If you walked over to them, they stopped what they were doing. They were having a conversation amongst themselves or eating or drinking. They turned, they'd sign an autograph, say hi, and turn back around. Hand it to you, turn back around. That was it. Larry Zonka was walking around. He actually sat down with us. My father bought him 2 drinks. He actually sat with us at the table for like 20, 25 minutes and had a conversation with us.
Work in the room. Nice.
Yeah, great guy.
But somebody tried to cut in front of him on the way to the bathroom, and he just bowled him over.
He did. He just pushed him right out of the way.
4 yards and a broken store door later, stall door. He made his point.
That was awesome. So, anyway, all right, there you go. That's Larry Zonka for you. Number 2 on our list tonight, Mr. Larry Zonka. All right, that brings us to number 1, and if you haven't guessed it by this time, or by just looking at the jersey I'm wearing, it would be Mr. Dan. Tua, yeah. Tua Tagovailoa. There you go. There you go. Daniel Constantine Marino Jr.
Wow.
Dan Marino. He was obviously a quarterback out of Pittsburgh, drafted in the first round with the 27th pick overall. After the Jets picked, he was drafted. Just wanted to point that out again. I know Pete knows that. But.
Excuse me, I have to. Car.
and the man specifically responsible for making isotoner gloves ubiquitous in the 80s.
Absolutely. There you go. So you could have been you had Broadway Joe, and you could have had isotoner Dan.
Well, think you know what, we joke about that. What would that company have been without Dan Marino?
I don't know. Kind of like what would the members only be without the Gatlin brothers?
Pretty much the same. It's very, 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 very simpatico there. But anyway, he was drafted after Ken O'Brien. I'm sorry, did I say that again? He was on the Dolphins for 17 seasons, I believe. Yeah, 17 seasons, 1983 through 1999. He was the NFL MVP in 1984, Offensive Player of the Year in 84, Comeback Player of the Year in 94, Walter Payton Man of the Year Award winner in 98, 3-time First-Team All-Pro, 3-time Second-Team All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler, 5-time NFL passing yards leader, 3-time NFL passing touchdowns leader, NFL passer ratings leader in 1984. He's a member of the 100th anniversary team. His number 13 with the Dolphins is retired. I had to get special permission to wear this tonight. Member of the Miami Dolphins Honor Roll. Won the Burt Ball Award in 1984 as well. And his number 13 with the Pittsburgh Panthers is retired as well, as a matter of fact. 8,358 pass attempts for 4,967 pass completions for a completion percentage of just shy of 60 at 59.4. 420 TDs to 252 interceptions for 61,361 yards for a career passer rating of 86.4. And of course, he's in the College Football Hall of Fame and, of course, in Canton in the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well. And for the last 7 or 8 years, he has been a special advisor to the Miami Dolphins and continues to be to this day.
He's still waiting for his first visit to the Jade Fountain, though.
He is. He hasn't been there yet, no. No. And had the Jets drafted him, he might have been.
True. I doubt it.
Jade Fountain's actually not there anymore, actually.
I know, yeah.
It's all gone. So, anyway, Daniel Constantine Marino Jr., Dan Marino, number 1 on our list tonight.
Number 2 in our hearts.
There you go. Who's number 1 in your heart?
I don't know.
Tua Tagovailoa?
No, definitely not. Probably Don Shula.
Don Shula, there you go. All right. So anything else to say about Mr. Dan Marino?
Nah,
He's just a big dummy.
That stupid haircut.
He's a big dummy who can play football.
I think your GM in 1983 was the big dummy. Didn't take him. So.
For about a 10-year span, when I think of quarterbacks, I just think of Dan Marino and Dan Fouts dropping back to throw. I don't know why, but
just the two of them.
Well,
at the same time on the same team,
they were the epitome. They were really the epitome of Fouts didn't have as much talent around him. Fouts was even more not as athletic as Marino, but they just, man, did they light it up? Did he light it up?
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah, how many Super Bowls did he win?
Neither of them won.
Neither of them won any.
Yeah, there we go.
At least Marino went to a couple.
On the same number as Ken O'Brien.
One, yeah.
Marino just went to one. First year, he went to Super Bowl's first year and never got back.
I mean, it was 2. He lost to San Francisco and I thought he got to 2, didn't he?
I don't think so.
Well, wasn't he? Oh, he wasn't. He didn't play in the.
Wasn't he back up to Tom Brady at Tampa last year?
Yeah,
that's who they're back.
That was the other one. There you
go. Woodley, right? He got hurt in Woodley.
He got Woodley. Yeah, he got hurt in Woodley.
The Redskins.
Yeah. So he didn't play. He played in the one.
Played in one Super Bowl.
So there you go. All right. There you go. Number 1, Dan Marino. All right. That's our list for tonight. That brings us to Old Balls.
Old Balls.
Harry, tell us who is our Old Balls recipient this week.
Our Old Balls recipient this week is none other than Mr. Mercury Morris. Eugene Edward Mercury Morris. Look, this guy was part of a running attack for these, early 70s Miami Super Bowl teams that included Larry Zonka, Jim Kick, and Mercury Morris. He was a kind of a triple threat as a running back, as a punt returner, and a kickoff returner.
Sure. Went
to 3 Super Bowls, won 2. And he was a 3-time Pro Bowler. He was an NFL rushing touchdowns leader in 1972 and was part of the first running back tandem to ever each gain 1,000 yards with Larry Zonka in 1972. He's got over 4,000 rushing yards for an average of over 5 yards a carry.
Yep.
31 rushing touchdowns and over 3,100 return yards. Mm-hmm. In his career. There were seasons where he averaged almost 27 yards a return on kickoffs. It's just unheard of. His career was a little shorter with the Dolphins. It was hard for me to get to sort of put him on this list, but he was probably more instrumental in a lot of those Super Bowl teams than people thought of. And, when you had Kick and Zonka just sort of, bam, plowing through, he was this lightning quick running back that just seemed to be very efficient. He averaged almost 7 yards a carry one year. It's something you don't see anymore. And the amount, it would be the equivalent of like getting a triple double in basketball. His career was cut a little bit short. He had a little bit of some off-field problems with some cocaine smuggling back in the 80s. But, come on.
That's a bit of a soft sell on that. But
he had a couple of off-field problems.
And look, he went on to become a motivational speaker and
cleaned himself up, got himself straight.
Yeah, and started doing commercials with Wade Boggs. So, look, Mercury Morris, those Zonka Kick teams, those early Super Bowls, we were too young to really remember them, obviously.
Yeah, it's hard.
But my dad talks about these. My dad and my uncles talk about these teams. And Mercury Morris was always one of those guys that they talked about.
Sure.
He was pretty incredible for those seasons, and he did this. He gained 1,000 yards by being for half that season the third option. The third running back option.
Third running back, yeah.
Yeah, on that team. It's pretty incredible.
It was.
Anyway.
Mercury
Morris, this week's recipient of Old Balls.
Old Balls.
There you go. All right.
Yep.
And I did forget to put this up. I'm sorry. So it was Mercury Morris. There you go. In case you were needing the visual, I had to put that up there. So you mentioned Jim Kick, too. I just wanted to say that really quick. Jim Kick, unfortunately, passed away last year. But he was born in New Jersey. He was born in Lincoln Park, New Jersey. Went to Boonton High School. But he was part of that crew that went to the Memphis Southmen.
Oh, yeah. What was that story there? What was that all about? Was that strike related or?
No, it was whatchamacallit? Yeah, Paul Warfield, Larry Zonka, and Jim Kick all went to the Memphis Southmen when the World Football League came into play in 1975. They actually got, I guess the Dolphins got money for it or whatever, but they only played 1 year. I think the league was only in existence 1 year, actually. But if I recall, their jerseys, the Memphis Southmen jerseys, were pink, if I recall.
Nice.
Yeah. The New York had a team. I forget what it was, but this is in the 70s. This isn't the USFL. The USFL was in the 80s. This is the WLAF. This is back like 6 years before the USFL started, 7 years before the USFL started, in like 75. Just one season. And then he didn't go back to Miami right away. He He went to he didn't go back to Jim Kick didn't go back to Miami at all. He went to the Broncos for 2 years, then went to the Redskins for the remainder of that second year, and then retired. But
did he make it? Did he? What were the years that he played for the Broncos?
The year he left the Broncos halfway through the season and went to Washington was the year the Broncos went.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah. So there you go. But yeah, the three of them, Paul Warfield, Larry Zonka, and Jim Kick, they all went to the Memphis Southmen for 1 year, 1975. Pretty good.
So. Pretty good group of running backs there, huh?
And, craziness. But
I mean, it seems like every organization sort of excels at certain positions. And look, you could argue that the Dolphins have had two great quarterbacks, one maybe one of the best of all time. Mm-hmm. But man, running backs and offensive linemen, they're pretty amazing.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Throw in a couple edge rushers and a couple linebackers, and
you're good to go.
The Dolphins have a pretty rich history of some real quality players.
Without a doubt. And we'll see.
I mean, they haven't been particularly relevant as of late,
right?
And it's easy to kind of forget,
right.
Especially if you're,
But Jalen Waddle, if he sticks around, might be on this list.
Yeah.
This year he might pass Mark Clayton this year.
He may very well. He may very well. He might pass him this week.
Yeah.
But anyway, All right. Should we talk some NBA? What do you think?
Let's not talk too much, but
We'll talk a little bit, but there's a couple of things we can mention. But
Did the Nets pull out the win?
No, the Nets decided that they thought they were going to rest two of their starters, and they got lolly-lipped by Houston, 114 to 104. I mean, you talk about this is how it. This is how important Kevin Durant is to this team. I mean, why would you sit Aldridge and Durant?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Aldridge maybe because of his heart issues,
right?
And Durant because he's.
Yeah, but why sit them both on the same night?
Yeah, here's the thing. When we were going through our
Houston's on fire.
To start our top 10 list, maybe. I checked the score, and it was about 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
They were down by 23, yeah.
And they were down, I think it was like 95, 84, or 87 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it was 95-90, and they got it back to 5. And
they were down, I think, by 23 at one point.
Yeah, I listen, that's...
These are the games you can't give away, though. This rest against these teams that you think you can rest. It's coming back to bite a lot of people.
Well, at least the score was closer than the Knicks score. I mean, the Knicks lost by 20 points.
Look, Indiana's a good team.
If you're the Nets and you're not beating the good teams with regularity, and your record is what it is because you're beating up on the lesser teams, then yeah, you got to win these games.
Yeah, I mean, you said Indiana's a good team. And they are. You're right. And
what I mean is, I think
Sabonis had 21 points tonight, but they still have the Knicks still have they're 1 up in the win column and 3 up in the loss column from the.
No, I get it. But my point with the Pacers is that I think come the end of the season, I think the Pacers are going to be past the Knicks record wise. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, it's very possible. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
they don't seem to be. And they started out. I mean, they seem to be on that trend of they were winning 2, losing 1, winning 2, losing 1. Now they're winning 1, losing 2, winning 2, 1, losing 2. So,
the Knicks,
yeah. It seems to be going in that wrong direction. And I don't know what they're going to be able to do to right the ship. It's not like they're not playing the D that they did last year.
That's the thing. I mean, this wasn't a case of offense. I mean, Barrett and Randall were your top scorers. Alex Burks had 15, although he was a minus 16, but. I mean, a lot of minuses, even though the points were going up there.
Right.
Fournier didn't do much. Taj Gibson didn't do much. You got some production from Quickly and Toppin. So, I mean, it's kind of what you expect. Mitchell Robinson didn't do much in 20 minutes. But kind of what you'd expect from the Knicks
I mean,
but to give up a $122,
well, that's just it. Like, I mean, you look at the scores that they were putting up last year, and it's the offense is in play of what it was last year. I mean, the 102, low 100s, high 90s. That's fine, but the defense was stellar, and it was keeping them in the 80s and 90s. So they were winning by, excuse me, they were scoring 102 points, but winning by 12.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they were
not
also
losing by 20.
They were also a surprise story last year, and. Nobody had much of a look at a lot of these players.
I think so far this year, their starting lineup for the Knicks and their rotation is just not as defined. And I think so far the Fournier and Kemba signings are not panning out to what they need to be. And look, Barrett had a decent game tonight, but he's got to be a guy who consistently scores 22 a game. And not 30 one game and 12 the next. He's got to be a 22 to 24 point guy a night to balance, what they're throwing at Randall, because that's their offense right now.
Right.
Unless if Fournier, Barrett, and Randall all have good games, the Knicks win.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. Well, listen, Barrett wasn't bad. I mean,
wasn't bad.
5 for 12 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3-point range. 19 points.
He's got to take 16 shots to 17 shots a game, though. He has to. It's the one thing that he's always struggled with is being aggressive and making his own shot. He's a good catch and shoot guy, which is what he did last night. But
right.
He's got to be able to create more shots, and I'd like to see him take it to the hole a little bit more and get to the free throw line.
He took more free throws than anybody else.
I know, which is what still
all that adds up to a minus 25.
Yeah,
and Randall a minus 22.
Yeah. Oh, they got beat badly tonight.
Yeah.
But here, look, these are the teams right now that are ahead of the Knicks. Okay, the Hornets, the Celtics, the Hawks, and the Cavs are all right now playing for the 7 through 10 play-in round.
Yep.
Sixers are number 6. Okay, granted they had some time without Embiid, but they're 6-4 in their last 10. Other than the Bucks and the Nets, I think at the end of the day, Chicago had a tough loss to Cleveland tonight. Cleveland's going to be a tough team to beat, and I actually think the Pacers are going to wind up crawling up past the Knicks here. The Knicks might not make it to the playoffs this year.
It's possible. It's possible. Then, well, if they don't change what they're doing, what they're missing on defense, and address some other issues, they are going to miss the playoffs. Plain and simple. So,
yep.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, but again, it's not. Other than there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, eight teams that are all within a game or two.
There's a lot of parity in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, in the NBA this year.
Both.
Yeah.
Really.
But there's a lot of parity in the NBA.
Yeah. Except for out west, maybe the top 2 teams out there too. 20-4 is kind of a good record. So.
Yeah, and look, and Utah.
And don't count Utah. Utah's a hot Minnesota team, 136 to 104 tonight.
Yeah, they're 4 games ahead of anybody. They're the number 4 team in the loss column. So.
I'm telling you, Minnesota's on an uptick this year because they got new ownership.
Minnesota's not
new partial ownership. Who bought
they were a
bought into the
500
Timberwolves,
team
right?
before their latest 4-game losing streak.
Who bought into the Timberwolves, right?
A-Rod,
yeah. So,
well, A-Rod knows basketball.
He does. He knows basketball. There you go. Like Bo knows, A-Rod knows basketball.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, they're who's playing right now? The Warriors are playing the Blazers right now, right?
Yeah. And a big win for the Nuggets tonight. Again, they're another team that's just they've just hurt. They've just they're just missing some players.
They won an OT over the Pelicans
tonight. Yeah. Was it an overtime? I don't know.
Overtime, 120 to 114.
Yeah.
Over the 7-win Pelicans. So.
Yeah, a win's a win. It was a road win.
Well, they're half a game up on the.
Jokic had his second triple-double in a row.
Okay.
39, 11, and 11.
There you go.
Yeah, it's all right.
Not bad. Those are system numbers.
39 points on 17 of 23.
There you go. Yeah, good numbers. There you go. Anyway,
with 2 doubles and 3 RBIs.
Yeah. Imagine
seeing him struck out twice, though. So.
Imagine seeing him at the plate. He'd make Aaron Judge look like Altuve.
Yeah, I actually would. That's funny. All right. Well, we'll see how the NBA progresses as we continue through December.
We'll see. We'll see if there's some trades coming up here towards the
middle of the year. It's getting close. We're gonna start seeing them too and hear what they're doing. And the Knicks got to do something, but we'll keep an eye on that. We'll let you know how that's all going. And really quick with hockey, how about those Rangers?
Off to a good start, huh?
9-1 in the last 10.
Yeah.
Win streak of seven in a row. They're second in the Metropolitan Division for the East. Fourth overall rather in the whole East. Behind Washington, the Metropolitan, and also Florida and Toronto. But
and I think the Islanders won a game at their new arena finally.
Islanders won a game. Yeah, they just won a game. They're now 6-10 with 17 points. So
who do you think are the top 5? It's probably the Panthers, Hurricanes, Capitals, Blues, and Lightning. Maybe.
Yeah.
Something like
the
that.
Top 5 in the entire NHL, or
yeah. But if you were to rank them, power rankings.
Power rankings.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, the East is doing better than the West right now. So the Capitals are up there, the Rangers,
Think the Rangers are a top 5 team?
I do. This year, I think they are. I think they're playing. Think they're playing good on the ice.
Overall, or in the East? I'd say they're
overall still up there. And the Panthers and the Maple Leafs, they're up there. Lightning are there. West, Minnesota's really the only one that's really, really making a statement out there. The Wild, in the West. Everybody else is kind of mid pack, and the Flames are not too shabby in the Pacific Division, but yeah, it's the East and the Eastern Division, Eastern Conference rather, is playing good hockey.
Yeah, I think Minnesota and Colorado from the West would be my two teams that I would put.
The Avalanche are playing
overall.
The Avalanche are playing okay. They're there. But
they're 14-7.
Yeah, so. But the Rangers are having a season so far, so we'll see how it continues. They got a new coach, so and Panarin's playing. So
the Kraken have a better record than the Islanders.
The Kraken have a better record than the Islanders. Say that again. The Kraken have a better record than the Islanders. They do. It's amazing how much they've dropped off.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah. So I think last year was their year to do it, but fell just short. So. Anyway, again.
Can't get past.
Now the Avalanche beat the Rangers tonight 7-3. That's they beat them by more than a field goal. So
the Avalanche are like plus 20 in goals for and against.
It was. I just refreshed. I did see it was final. Yeah, it is final. They beat them 7-3. You're right. Yeah, that's a football score. That's the Giants with 3, and the Broncos scored a touchdown.
That's right. It's about right.
It's about right. So, anyway, all right. On that note, I got one other thing for you. No, it is the holiday. It is the holiday season, right? And this popped up today. Just a reminder for everybody. And Batman wants everybody to know that he does not smell. All right. So there you go.
Well, that's good to know.
I got a lot of memes today, so I had to share some of them. So
dad memes. There's his dad jokes and there's dad memes.
Dad memes, exactly. There you go. Do we have an over/under tonight?
No.
No.
Next week we need one.
Not prepared.
Maybe Christmas ornaments on your tree or something.
Oh, there you go. Christmas ornaments next week. That's a good one.
What? I'll have to have a tree by then.
Stigger, put a lot of small ones on, so we really can't tell, and it's in the back, that kind of a thing. Put a small one up on the top shelf with a lot right in front of the Jets. I
have been advocating for a Christmas branch for a long time.
Done. There you go.
But no one else in the family is going for it.
Yeah. Well, the North Pole threw up in my living room, so.
I saw. Wintertown, Christmas Town.
You saw the Christmas Village, did you?
I saw the Giants. Giants gave up on football and opened a diner.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's six Giants Christmas Village houses for the Christmas Village. Right?
How many Jets?
None. Only.
Really?
Yeah, really. Only 3 of them with the extra ones she got this year. Only 3 of them fit. So the other 3 are up here. One is right here.
Okay.
Behind me. The other 2 are here and here. And there's a little tree right there.
Wow.
So, but, yeah. So, anyway. It's pretty big. Pete, you saw it, right?
Yeah.
You saw it.
Yeah. It's impressive.
Yeah.
And is there
I help her set the tables up, and then the next day,
Buck Showalter house?
There's a Buck Showalter house.
With the mats written on it under the Christmas tree.
Exactly. With me sitting outside going, crossing my fingers.
I don't know. Is Lee Mazzilli available?
Lee Mazzilli is not available. Sadly, he's gonna be the Yankees locker room assistant this year. So he's already signed. So.
Yeah, but, he might be available to take care of your Christmas town.
He could. He can come in, straighten it out, fix it up a little bit. But Anyway. All right. On that note, we will wrap up the show for today. We want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night around 7:30 Eastern Time. And for those of you that just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. Plus, the show is now available on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Watch a lot of football that's going on, starting with the game tomorrow night with the Steelers taking on the Vikings, and, of course, all throughout the weekend. And watch some basketball and hockey while you're at it as well. All right? Have a wonderful weekend and continue to have a great holiday season, and we will talk to you soon, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Yeah, watch some hockey. Someone has to.
Somebody's got to watch hockey.
It won't be us.
Speed skating.
There you go. Curling. Coming up.